Then some drunken Irishman came in, smashed me over the head with a glass. Of course, I had to smash him back, didn't I?
Very, very early morning sports radio for Postman,
Pork,
Trolley Dollies,
out of a dirt chip, Prestwick,
and anyone who had to do a dawn runner after a very ill-advised one-night stand.
Go, go, go.
Over my dead body.
The two mics on Talk Sport.
Look at the light.
We have produced a vinyl disc
No, we haven't.
with content on it.
No.
Yes, we have.
How have we?
Well, what do you think we've produced?
We produced a DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do DVDs made of?
DVD is not made of vinyl.
They're made of vinyl. Sorry, no, what am I talking about here? No, hang on.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky Parry. Mr. Parry, very good morning to you.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And what a weekend, eh?
Well,
what a weekend.
Well, do you know what? I'm feeling slightly deflated.
Sonic power.
I'm feeling slightly deflated now because it feels as though after all the magnificent, fantastic things that happened, like Millwall doing part one of the treble that I predicted, which is, of course, Leicester losing to Millwall going out of the FA Cup, Leicester losing to Sevilla and going out of the Champions League, and then Leicester being relegated, right? So the first part of that has happened. After the magnificence of Lincoln beating Jerry Barton and Burnley, senseless, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly now it all feels as though it's all gone a bit flat because Arsenal... What are you doing, by the way?
Well, sorry, it's Postman Pork tonight.
Well, you don't have to open it now.
No, I'm not opening it. It was a box which has sort of come open. I was just securing it for when we do the feature later on in the show.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to that.
I have to say, these somebody sent me some whiskey liqueurs, and rather
really
nice. I was just tempted to have one, actually.
I don't think you're a whiskey man.
I never eat on air. Well, as long as they're in chocolate, that's okay.
Right. Well, anyway, so after Arsenal have beaten Sutton, it's just you kind of go, well, that's it then, isn't it? It's all over. Because Millwall are going to go to White Hart Lane.
Yes.
And I think their run is going to come to an end as much as I've been a great Millwall supporter.
Yeah.
You know, we've now got Lincoln City playing Arsenal, so that's the end of them.
That's the end of them.
So, I mean, you know, all of the greatness of the FA Cup weekend, I fear, has evaporated.
Well, I totally agree there. I mean, my charity bet this week was that Arsenal would beat Sutton by 4.
Yes.
And, of course, when Theo Walcott put that second one in, I thought, hey.
Now, what would you say about a man that plays for a team that takes something like 10 seasons to score 100 goals?
That's Theo. That's Theo, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, but he's not an out-and-out striker.
I see.
He's wanted to play down the middle for a long time, and Arsene Wenger has never actually given him the
So he's not a forward then.
The incentive to do that. Well, he's
a forward, isn't he?
He's more of a midfield player, isn't he? Because he's a winger.
No, he's not a midfielder.
But he's never been a striker. But I mean, 100 goals in the Premier League is outstanding.
Yeah. Well, that's not what you said about Peter Crouch.
Well, yeah, but it took him 15 years.
It doesn't matter.
It does, because that's 6 a season.
You just said it's outstanding.
Yeah, it's outstanding to do it as young as Theo Walcott is. But
it's outstanding to do it at all.
Peter Crouch is 7 years older than Theo Walcott.
It's outstanding to do it at all.
Well, look, I'm not arguing that, and I think Peter Crouch is Peter Crouch is a great guy.
What about Peter Couch?
Peter Couch, and listen, talking about great guys, by the way.
Yeah.
A little disturbed about the amount of abuse I got for an act of simple generosity.
Well, I must ask you about this picture that you put out.
Yeah.
I must say, very, very self-indulgent picture that was put out in the late hours of Saturday evening after you and I had spent a few hours launching our new website.
We had, yeah.
Down at the,
and thank you to everybody who got involved in that. It was
lovely. Which was a great success.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good fun. So what was all that about then? Why did you suddenly take the idea that it'd be great to sort of humiliate and exploit a poor homeless guy by putting his picture out on Twitter?
I didn't, did I?
You might have family that don't know that he's homeless. Well, he might have friends that have no idea that he's homeless. He might not even be homeless.
Eh?
Did you check that he was really homeless?
Well, I tell you what, I saw a story today, funny enough, in another newspaper about a bunch of guys who were
these are the ones that go to
Romanian.
Cambridge?
Are they Romanians?
I'm not sure what they were. I didn't notice what nationality they were.
I thought it was something like Crawley or something like or Oxford or Cambridge.
Cambridge was one story I saw.
Where they drive the car to the edge of town, park up with Romanian number plates on, then go and sit on pavements all day in Cambridge and take up the money.
Yeah,
that's right, I saw that, yeah.
So what nationality was this guy?
Oh, I've no idea.
What do you mean you've no idea? What was his name? You don't know, do you?
Yes, it was something like...
No, you don't care what his name was.
Odin or something like that it was.
Odin?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Really?
But
Odin and Odious.
No,
There's a
that's
picture of the two of you together.
That's not the point. The whole point was
The whole point was for you to try and show what a generous guy I am. I bought some cigarettes to kill off this homeless guy. Once and for all.
Honestly, I mean, look, I remember Paul Gascoigne once, and Paul's not in a really good state these days, so
neither are you.
I'm aware of that. But he said when he used to see homeless guys sitting on the pavements and all that, instead of giving them money, he'd go and get them a bottle of whiskey because he said that's the only thing that made him feel happy.
Really?
So with this chap, I thought, well, 10 cigarettes is not going to kill him.
Of Paul Gascoigne.
Well, I'm aware of these things. I'm aware of everything, and I thought nutrition, fish and chips, can't get a more nutritious food, and certainly 10 cigarettes are not going to kill anybody.
You can actually get more nutritious food.
And
you should have on your own fish and chips and cigarettes.
No, don't be ridiculous. And
what did you have for dinner that night then?
Pizza.
You had pizza?
Yeah, I had pizza.
So you expect me to believe that you bought fish and chips, gave them to a homeless guy, and went home and took some pizza out of your freezer, rock hard, defrosted it.
I love defrosted pizza because it only takes 2 minutes to actually get really hot. And
how many pieces did you have?
4.
4 slices?
Yes, that's right, yes. Yeah.
So that leaves you with about 12?
No, a lot more than that, about 18.
18?
Yeah, about 18 to go.
Well, hang on, you said you had 2 pizzas, which were cut into 10.
That's right,
That's
20. Yeah.
Right, you ate 4 pieces.
I got another
16.
one along the way somewhere. I've accumulated another one, seriously.
Well, you got another one that same night?
No, I think it was on the Thursday before.
Shaky, the story.
But anyway, look, the point is, for those who said, good on you, Mike, well done, thank you, and for those who really sort of tried to berate me as an attention seeker and a publicity fiend for doing kind things, well, all I can say is that was not my intention. I can promise you it was not my intention.
What went through your mind was not in any way self-publicity?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the very same chap I've given money to in the past, like £10 a time. Oh, yes. And,
how come you don't know his name then?
Well, because you don't do that sort of thing.
And where does he sit, this guy?
He doesn't. He stands.
Well, where does he stand?
He stands outside a Tesco shop.
All right, where?
Yeah. Well, I can't. I'm not getting into that because I'm not the poor guy, focused on.
I want to go find him.
I tell you what I did see.
Find out what the truth is.
I tell you what I did see today, which is quite amazing. As I say, I'm often in Sutton because I used to live there and I have a bit of business to do there
used to live
days.
There?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
When did you move?
Oh, years ago.
Really?
But anyway, let me tell you this. There used to be a guy who wandered around and he called himself the Wizard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I saw a picture of him today.
Exactly.
He looks a bit like a druid.
Well, about 10 years ago, he was all right. He had this white cloak and he had a white gown and this purple cloak, which he.
When you say he was all right.
Well,
he walked around in a white cloak. Purple gown.
No, he had the white gown with the purple cloak. He had this skull cap,
right?
And he wore the Jesus boots and all that, sandals and all that kind of stuff, right?
Jesus creepers, you mean?
Yeah, Jesus creepers. Yeah. But on one occasion, you won't believe it, the local police actually took him to court.
Right? Why?
For having an offensive weapon,
right?
Which was a little short dagger, which he kind of strapped to his his waist,
like a skin dude.
Yeah, like a ceremonial. Whichever religion he claims to be, I've no idea.
Sikhs carry a small dagger.
Yeah, do they? Yeah, okay. But anyway, it was ludicrous. He was taken to court, for a possession of an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
Of course, the magistrate threw it out. He said, why is this man even in court?
But why was he attached to the football club then tonight?
Well, because he's a Sutton resident. He lives somewhere in Sutton and he wanders around. Now, what I'm saying is, now, how he makes his money? He makes his money by charging people £2 to have their picture taken with him. Okay?
Why would you pay him £2 for that?
I have no idea, but people find him extraordinary character.
I'm surprised you didn't charge the homeless guy £2 to have his picture taken with you.
Yeah, that's a bit odd.
I'll give you 10, but you have to give me 2 back.
About 10 years ago, when he was 10 years younger, he kept himself in pretty good shape. But now he's just a filthy old tramp, I'm afraid. Sorry. He is, honestly.
Don't say that when I'm trying to drink my tea.
His white robe is now just always splattered with food and drink.
Well, at least he was celebrating Sutton's great success in getting to the 5th round of the FA Cup, which is more than I can say for you.
Yeah, and he's...
you claimed that you couldn't go to the game because you were preparing for the show.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Well, I would never, ever put...
You come in from that part of the world at approximately 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, but I would never put pleasure in front of work, ever.
Is that right?
Never.
Yeah, but it's not pleasure, it's work. But the reason you didn't go, of course, was because you're so rude to the football club's treasurer who came on Saturday on the warm-up, who was very insistent that there were no tickets left.
Well,
and he afraid you couldn't be accommodated.
I can assure you, if I'd wanted to go...
Tim Vine was there.
There would have been a seat for me. Well, Tim Vine's a good guy.
Alan Pardew was there.
Alan Pardew lives nearby.
Apparently
he often goes to Sutton.
he was sitting next to the chairman.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
Apparently he goes there all the time.
He goes to the same hairdresser as me.
Does he?
Yes, in Stockbroker Belt.
Well, he gets a much better deal than you do.
You what? And look, it was a great occasion. Unfortunately, Sutton went out.
Yeah, but it sort of wasn't, though, in a way, because it was always going to be a bit too much for them to handle, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And, so I watched, as soon as I saw the first goal go in, I thought, well, this is pretty much it,
Well,
really.
as soon as I saw the second goal when it go in, I felt the same. Good goal by old Theo. He kept his head,
It's been pointed out, by the way, that he has not scored 100 goals in the Premier League. He's only scored 100 goals for
Arsenal. That's right, yeah. Absolutely.
So actually, he hasn't achieved what Peter Crouch has achieved.
Well, then you shouldn't have told me that he had, should you?
Well,
you should get your facts right before you try and lead me down these blind alleys.
All I'm saying
okay?
is to score 100 goals is a magnificent achievement, but it's even more magnificent if it's in the Premier League.
Yeah, well,
that might take Theo another 5 years.
No, it won't. That will come very quickly, I can assure you. But anyway, look,
the time, by the way.
Raise the profile of the town and all that kind of stuff, so it's all good. It's all good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, they're out now, so it's not all good, it's all bad.
Yeah, but think of the money they've made.
And what about Arsenal? I mean, how do
stuff.
Arsenal manage to pull a draw against Sutton, followed by a draw against Lincoln City?
How did they what?
How could they manage to pull a draw against Sutton?
Pull a draw?
Pull a draw, yes.
Well, they didn't draw, they beat them.
Pull a draw, meaning a draw in the cup.
Oh,
They've
I
been
see
drawn out of the cup.
Well, because it's an open draw, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
I know,
why.
but what are the odds? I was hearing somebody earlier on Talk Sport saying it's in the millions to one that they would get in the fifth round and then in the quarterfinals. Yeah. The two lowest ranked teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it's incredible.
It's mathematics,
But
isn't
we'll talk some more about that coming up in a little while.
Indeed.
Tim Vickery, of course, is right here. He's going to be talking to us in a little while.
He will be.
This is Mike Graham. We are the Two Mikes.
We are.
The Two Mikes. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Talk Sport, we are the Two Mikes. You can tweet us, of course, at the Two Mikes. Go to our Facebook page as well, because that's where we do an awful lot of Facebook Live stuff. And now we have a brand new spanking website. Actually, it's not a spanking website, it's a brand spanking new website called the2mikes.co.uk.
It's nothing to do with spanking.
Nothing to do with spanking, no, at all. That was a bit of a Freudian slip. Yes. There are, however, many things on there to interest people.
Oh, yes.
Including some of your recipes.
Yeah, do you know what?
Some of your favourite foods.
People have been following my recipes over the weekend. The most popular dish yet on the recipe
it's the
pages.
fish finger pyramid, isn't
exactly, of either yours or mine is the fish finger pyramid. So get onto that website, kids. Learn how to make yourself a fish finger pyramid. It will change your life.
But if you actually want to cook some real food, I've also got some recipes on there as well. There's a forum, there's all kinds of stuff. We'll be referring to it on and off all the way through the show.
Yes.
How about this from Dazza? It says, will the Theo 100 goal prediction be comparable to the Raheem Sterling goal prediction last season? Hashtag plank. And Dickie says, Theo only has 63 Premier League goals in 10 years. It will actually take him longer than Crouch to get to 100.
No, I don't think it will.
Well, it will on that basis.
No, I think it'll all change. I mean, Arsene Wenger's not going to be there forever. In fact, all the signs are he's probably going to leave at the end of this season now, really, isn't it? And that'll be a new lease of life, I would think.
Possibly so. Billy says, Porky was certain that Leicester's class was going to easily knock Millwall out. I hope he doesn't say the same about the next round. We'll talk some more about the FA Cup coming up.
We certainly will.
Yeah.
Now, talking about referees earlier, when we were talking to Andy and Jason.
That's right, on the sports bar.
I do share this belief that the Clattenburg story is so over-egged. I just don't know why we all get excited about it. Referees, I mean, I'm not being rude about referees because they are obviously, pillars of the footballing community.
They are.
But without a shadow of a doubt, they're 10 a penny. You can.
Well, they're not 10 a penny, are they? You were just saying that they're in short supply.
No. You can give a man a book of football rules. Yeah. Because football doesn't have laws; it has rules, believe it or not. And
I thought it had laws.
Laws, that's what I said. What did I say?
You said rules.
Laws, that's what I mean.
Rules, of course, is a very nice restaurant in Covent Garden.
It certainly is, yeah.
We should go there, actually.
Yeah, we should go there,
before it gets too warm.
I totally agree.
You can't go there in the summer.
No, I agree. So football has laws. So you can give a bloke any bloke, or any kid about 15.
How about a woman?
Yeah,
there was a woman on the line last night.
Yes, a woman as well. No problem at all.
Yeah.
Give them a copy of the laws of football, okay? And a black and white suit. And within a year, you'll have a
Black and
referee.
white suit.
A black and white outfit, you know. And within a year...
really a suit, is it?
Yeah, well, it's whatever it is.
Maybe they should wear suits. That would make it more authoritative.
No. And you'll have a referee. But this idea that,
a dinner suit on.
he's a brilliant referee. Well, he's only a brilliant referee because he's read the laws properly and knows how to interpret them.
I think you're entirely wrong about that. One of the reasons Clattenburg is realised as such a great referee is because he's able to handle pressure.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly pressurised job, particularly now that money is so important in football.
Yes.
And one result can send a club down into the next division or out of a very lucrative competition. You know, I disagree that anybody could do it. I think it's a very, very specialised job, and I think it requires an awful lot of very, very good training. And it also requires, I think, quite a sharp mind.
Well, yes, I'm sure it requires all of that. But then what I'm saying is that, remember, the real stars of football are footballers. They're not referees.
That's true.
And one of these days, as I pointed out earlier, and everybody around this table nodded their head and agreed with my foresight.
What do you mean around this table?
Around this very table, when we were talking
What, you mean one of those Clash of the Titans shows?
No. We were talking to the boys, half an hour ago.
Oh, well, you mean Jason and Andy?
Yes, that's what I keep telling you. Now then, what I'm saying
getting
is...
them to agree with you doesn't mean it's a great idea.
Yes, it is.
Rubbish.
It means we're all thinking the same way. And the minute that the ridiculous rule about video evidence or looking at videos is changed, so that a referee is the only man in a 90,000-seater stadium who doesn't have access to a replay of what's going on. He's the only man outside the 11 million people watching the game on TV who doesn't see an instant replay of what's gone on, which is ludicrous.
No, but it's not ludicrous. You've seen situations, I'm sure, in many different fields of work, right, where people are terrified of making a decision.
Yeah.
A referee has to make a split-second decision based upon the technology that he has to hand, i.e. his own eyes.
Yes, that's right. I agree, but it's wrong. There should be two men up in a box.
Well, you've always said that you don't agree with video technology.
I've not said that. What I've said is... No, I haven't. I've said that the fourth official should have a monitor in the player's tunnel in which he can instantly see the replay, which all games now are videoed. You can do an instant replay and you can get that message to the referee within 20 seconds.
Well, I've said that many times.
To say it was in the area.
Yeah, I've said that many times. But nevertheless, even if you can see that, as many people have argued, an awful lot of these decisions are not cut and dried.
I agree. It's interpretive. I agree.
All you can do is say the camera appears to have caught some contact. Yeah. That still doesn't mean it's a penalty. A camera appears to have caught...
but it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Barton. I mean, did you see Jerry Barton at the weekend?
Ridiculous.
What a complete plank.
Yeah, well, I mean, utterly ridiculous.
I mean, the hardest man in football gets touched by the guy's arm, and he wasn't even doing anything apart from pointing.
No, he ran into his arm.
Yeah.
He deliberately ran into his arm.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so ridiculous.
It was
like something out of Comic Cuts.
And the thing is,
I still don't understand why he's playing football. I
found a quote from a couple of years ago, when he became the philosopher of football and all that. And
he got shown up on Question Time for being a plank.
Yeah, he did actually, and in which he said that, one of the worst crimes in football is feigning injury, trying to get a fellow professional sent off and all that. I mean, he actually said that 2 years ago. It's in print. I've read it today. Yeah. And of course, he goes down the very same road. So I'm not sure where he's coming from.
And on Twitter after the game, he was at great pains to point out, I wasn't trying to get the big lad sent off.
No, that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
What were you trying to do then?
Yeah. Absolutely shocking way to behave.
But anyway, no, the referee, because now everybody's like, Clattenburg's, what is he, stay until the end of the season or something?
He's meant to be leaving immediately, right?
Yeah.
But for some bizarre reason, I don't know why.
Yes.
He's hanging around for the next Premier League fixture.
Is he?
Which is West Brom against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
As I said, I mean, that's hardly one to remember, is it?
No.
With no disrespect to Bournemouth or West Brom.
And he's not giving up the £1 million a year job in Saudi.
Oh no.
For the
I think my understanding is that after the West Brom Bournemouth game, he's off.
Yeah, he's off ski.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, well, so I don't know why we bother, because look, Howard Webb went, the world's greatest referee. Well, then, Mr. Clattenburg emerged, the world's greatest referee.
Yeah.
And as soon as Mr. Clattenburg disappears, there'll be another guy who will start calling, the world's greatest referee.
And it's not as if
there's always a vacancy for the world's greatest referee.
It's not as if people are going to be clamouring to get on Saudi Arabian television to make sure they can watch the first game that Clattenburg referees in Saudi Arabia.
I totally agree.
I can't imagine anything worse.
I totally agree. And it's not as if we're all going to go into mourning when Mr. Clattenburg disappears.
No.
After about a week, we'll have forgotten about him altogether, just like we did about Doughhead Ball Kalina.
Is he the first? I wish you'd stop taking it.
Or Dough Ballhead, I should call him,
out
really.
Kalina.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic referee.
He wasn't. He wasn't. He
was
got it
brilliant.
completely wrong and caused Everton to go out of the Champions League.
Well, again, lots of referees make lots of decisions, lots of games, and sometimes they get it wrong. But you shouldn't hold a grudge against the guy just because of Everton. That's unnatural and unbalanced.
No, I don't think so.
Adrian says this: Mike Parry's pizza slices are as thin as After 8 mints.
What?
Because you've cut them up so many times. Peter says, best programme on the radio, but you both don't stop using the word guy over 15 times already. It's not America. I'm 68 and I've never used it.
Guy?
So apparently objects to us using the word guy.
Well, I'm sorry, but I think it's a very English word. Yeah, well, it's a very English word, isn't it?
Thanks very much, Peter.
Don't you remember the great record, And you can say with my guy.
Yeah, that was an American song. It was an American song.
With my guy.
It was an American song.
Now, who sung that?
Lots of people did.
No, the original.
I can't remember who it was. It was a woman.
Right, okay.
I'm thinking of sometime in the 60s, but I couldn't tell you. I think
my guy. Yeah, John will tell us in a second.
Mary Wells.
Mary Wells, that's right, Mary Wells.
I think the Carpenters did it as well.
Yeah, they did, but Mary Wells did the original. And guess what?
What?
It was just as Berry Gordy had set up Tamla Motown, okay, and he was looking for stars and all that. So that was their first number one, my guy.
Yeah.
She then went in, according to the story I've read, and demanded a pay increase by a multiple of 10 because she was now a superstar.
Well, because he probably wasn't paying her very much in the beginning.
Well, exactly. And he said no. And she said, right, I'm going off to another record company.
Yeah.
She never had another record.
Is that right?
Never had another hit record.
Well, maybe blackballed her and she can
Holland,
work in that town
Holland
anymore.
did the same, didn't they? They were writing all the hits, and they were great. I mean, look at all the hits they wrote for the Supremes and all that kind of stuff. And they went in to see old Berry Gordy, right? Is it Berry Gordy or is it Gordy Berry?
It's Berry Gordy.
It is Berry Gordy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's not Gordy Berry.
No, well, I'm never certain. And
I know that.
Yeah, because Berry's a strange name. Gordy could be short for Gordon, and you could be Gordon Berry. But why are you Berry Gordy? What's Berry stand for? Bertram?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know why you're bothering about it.
Anyway, they went in to see him, and they said, Berry, we've written 20 number one hit songs, and you're still paying us $50 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah? So? Well, don't we deserve a bit more? This company's making millions on us. No. You're not getting any more. OK, we're leaving. Cheerio. Bang.
See you later.
Shut the door behind them.
Well, a bit like referee scenario.
Yeah, that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Lots and lots of things here. Steve says this. I haven't checked out the new website yet, but can you tell me if the Porky recipe for disaster is on there?
No, there's no recipe for disaster. Although, funny enough, we may have some news on something similar to disaster. It's called survival over the coming weeks and months.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Here's one from Hobbsy who says, congratulations on the new website. My favourite part is the crossword, 6 across Peter's shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I haven't tried the crossword yet.
No, I
haven't
tried the crossword.
On there.
I didn't know there was a crossword.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, well, we'll fill you in on what's in there later on. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, sure.
Now, we've got Beatles expert coming on later on. You'll be surprised to know. Amazingly, because there is actually a Beatles story rather than just you singing.
And
a guy called Jeff Kinley. Ever heard of him?
No, I haven't, but it'd be great to talk to him. And would you like to point out to the whole of the audience that this was none of my doing at all?
No, it was nothing to do with you.
No,
It
exactly.
was something that was come up with earlier on.
Yeah.
The programme meeting, which unfortunately you weren't able to attend. Due to being too busy.
No. I mean, the point is, I'm always accused
Sutton,
of,
where you used to live,
of being obsessed with the Beatles, but I didn't have anything to do with this chap who's coming on, but I'll be delighted to talk to him. No problem at all.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
Please refrain from singing at this time.
Yeah.
Tim Vickery's coming up as well.
Yeah.
And, of course, Heroes and Villains a bit later on. This is Talk Sport.
Nothing you can take can tear me away from my guy. Nothing you could do, 'cause I'm stuck right glued to my guy. I'm sticking to my guy like a stamp.
We're talking FA Cup now with Trade Point, and I would have to say that is one of the great songs, that.
It is,
I'm astonished that she never had another hit.
No, never had another hit.
You're absolutely sure about that?
Never had another hit, mate, honestly.
Really?
It was, that was it. And it was a question of getting too big for a boot.
Yeah, well, Gordy Berry went on to some great things.
Yes.
Didn't he?
Hey?
Didn't he?
You said his name was Berry Gordy.
Berry Gordy, yeah.
You just called
That's
him
what I
Gordy
said.
Berry.
No, I didn't.
No, you did, honestly.
I called him Berry Gordy.
You just called him Gordy Berry.
I didn't.
I'm playing that back, because you always
absolute
do with me. You just called him
I
Gordy
did it
Berry.
deliberately to flummox you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, did it deliberately?
I did.
Oh, I made a mistake. Ha, ha, ha. I did it deliberately.
No, I did it deliberately
Well,
to
stop
flummox
making
you.
deliberate mistakes,
Why?
OK? Because the quality of this show depends on you being as good as me.
Yeah, well, I can't ever be that good. I mean, for heaven's sake, if we were both that good, we'd be, off in the stratosphere.
Indeed.
Now, I want to hear some predictions from you, because
Okay.
now that we've got the new quarter-final lineup for the FA Cup, right? It should be possible for you to pick some teams and put some porky jinxes on people.
Okay.
Now, first of all, I can't see Millwall getting past Spurs.
No, I can't either. That's Spurs into the semis.
Right. I can't see Lincoln City getting past Arsenal.
Definitely not. That's Arsenal into the semis.
Right. I can't see Huddersfield getting past Manchester City in the replay.
Definitely not.
So
that's Manchester City.
Manchester City through.
And do you know who's going to complete that lineup?
Between Chelsea and Manchester United.
Manchester United.
You think they're going to beat Chelsea?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Really?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I find that extraordinary.
This is going to be, I would say, a pivotal moment in the life and career of Jose Mourinho.
Jose?
Okay? Yeah.
Jose?
Yeah, Jose Mourinho, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
The lineup for the semis, Spurs, Arsenal, Man City, Man United.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what we want is, we want one semi-final Spurs versus Arsenal, and the other one Man City versus Manchester United.
I suppose so.
Because then you've got two cracking semi-finals.
Well, and then you get a London-Manchester final.
Yeah, exactly.
But you see, my thing is really...
And that'd be worldwide then, so.
My thing is, though, that I think Chelsea are too good for everybody.
I think I can't see them winning the double, that's all. I can't see them winning the double in their first season. I think Conte will win the Premier League, and I think that's what he's going to concentrate on. He's going to put all of his resources in that. I'm not saying that he will turn a blind eye to the quarter-final with Manchester United, but I think Jose will just pull some rabbits out the hat and get through that.
Well,
maybe a replay.
I'm not sure about that.
I think he will. I think he will.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
I mean, they struggled at the weekend against Blackburn, didn't they?
Did they? I'm not sure if they did, really.
Well, they did until Ibrahimovic came on.
Do you see, by the way, that, was it the morning of the game, morning after the game? When did they play? Sunday?
Sunday,
yeah. There was a Sunday newspaper story that Phil Jones, is worth about sort of 40 million quid or something.
Yeah.
Has had a row with
Phil Jones is worth 40 million.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
That's bonkers.
Has had a bit of a row with people who are his sort of domestic staff. Who are claiming
domestic staff?
Yeah, claiming they've been laid off unfairly and all this kind of stuff.
Really?
One of those typical rows about, the big boss in the mansion and the...
well, how many staff has he got?
Well, there are two people. There's a married couple, apparently, and it's all allegations, so we mustn't get into it. I've met Phil Jones. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem.
Well, what's he meant to have done?
Well, he's meant to have just sort of given them notice and said, thank you very much and all that kind. It's one of those typical things, we've been left not homeless, we've been left, on a job and all that kind of stuff. But these rows happen all the time. If you're wealthy and successful in this country, you're always going to be up there to be popped at.
Yes.
See what I mean?
And that's what your problem is, isn't it?
No.
Now, the other problem I've got with Millwall, right,
Yes.
is that I've championed their cause ever since you said rather cruelly that they should move out of the den.
I never said
and
that.
into North Kent.
I never
and
said
they should
that.
move with the times. You
I
did say
said it was an opportunity to think about. That's all.
You did say it. But
That's
in any
all.
event, ever since you have put the Porky Jigs in reverse on them, they've now knocked out 3 Premier League sides.
Indeed.
Leicester, Bournemouth,
Yes.
right, and Watford.
Yes.
They're now going to go to White Hart Lane. But I have to say, unfortunately, the game at the weekend, their win at the weekend, was rather tainted by some trouble, which included a lot
terrible.
of Millwall fans breaking the windows of a coach.
It was terrible.
Which was with some Leicester players inside, Leicester fans inside rather.
It was
and
terrible.
then they went and started chucking stuff at Leicester fans after they invaded the pitch.
I said to you a few weeks ago, I often passed Millwall's ground on the train coming into London Bridge Station in London. And it is a foreboding sort of breeze block type structure, okay?
Well, I think it doesn't look that bad, to be honest. Whenever I've passed it, unfortunately, it's not far away from a waste disposal plant, which doesn't help.
No, it doesn't actually. What are
you looking at?
What am I looking at?
Yeah.
I'm not looking at anything.
You changed your gaze.
Well, because I think deeply.
Do you?
And I like to... My eyes become a pool of recess.
My eyes.
Yes, my eyes.
My eyes.
And no, what I was going to say is that, it's awful to think that sort of thing still happens in football these days. And
Millwall
they
have
don't do themselves any
Millwall
favours.
have done an awful lot of work to try and rid themselves of this particular element.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was the owner of Millwall now, I'd say let's revisit that plan to go and move to the north coast of Kent, because if the scumbags round here who behaved like that,
well,
they are
scumbags.
scumbags.
You don't know where
they're
they're from North
scumbags.
Kent.
They're scumbags, mate, to have behaved like that. To start invading pitches, threatening the visiting fans, intimidating people, smashing coach windows, scumbags.
Yeah.
And the only scumbags seem to be left in football seem to be a very small proportion of Millwall fans who give the rest of the Millwall fans a bad name.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Although I was hearing again earlier on Talk Sport,
what were you hearing?
some guy talking about the Bundesliga and how Carlo Ancelotti was getting spat at.
Well, didn't he give
by the Hertha
didn't
Berlin?
He start goose-stepping virtually and give it a salute or something like that?
No, he wouldn't do that.
Well, he was spat at from the stands, and apparently he reacted by, I was told, by saluting the fans.
No,
so
well,
not sure what that means.
Well, saluting means by making gestures towards them. He was not doing a salute, if that's what you're thinking. But the point is that,
I'll take that back. What's his name?
Carlo.
Carlo.
Thank you very much. Basically, we're always told, German football's the model to go by, the safe standing thing. Yeah. It's very cheap to play. Everybody's really nice. There's a lot of hooliganism in Germany. Do you remember when Bayern Munich played Borussia Dortmund in the final at Wembley?
Yes.
And there was loads of fights outside of Wembley.
Yeah, there were.
Which nobody really talked about.
No, that's absolutely right.
The other highlight we have to mention, of course, is the man of the moment down at Sutton, Wayne Shaw.
Wayne Shaw, the fat goalkeeper.
The second goalkeeper,
who
I think
admits
you could
that
call
he's
him.
portly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And lots of people are making a great thing of the fact that he was eating a pie
in the
at
stands.
half-time.
Yeah, despite the fact he was the reserve goalkeeper.
Despite the fact that he might have to come on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure about this.
He was in the bar at half-time as well.
I mean, I'm not sure about this, and I don't wish to cast any aspersions, but there was a certain betting company putting out a price of 8-1 that he would be caught eating a pie during the game.
Well,
so doesn't that ring too much of a coincidence to you?
It's given everybody a bit of a laugh, so I don't think there's too much to be concerned about there, to be honest.
All right, well, as long as you're happy. TalkSport is bringing you full live commentary and covering every game of this season's FA Cup with our good friends at Trade Point. Trade brands, trade prices, trade only.
The FA Cup on TalkSport with TradePoint. Free bulk delivery on orders over £200 from stock. From store to site. Find out more at tradepoint.co.uk.
Now, have you seen this great story about Vladimir Putin? I'm obliged to William for sending it in on Twitter.
Yeah.
Apparently he's got a $200 billion fortune.
Yeah, I knew about that.
You knew about it?
Well, I knew...
Well, you would have done, wouldn't you?
I knew he was incredibly wealthy. I mean...
Well, on what basis is he incredibly wealthy?
He's put a lot of money into bank accounts around the world for his own...
So he hasn't actually made this money?
Well, I think he regards it as a bit of a pension, you know what I mean? And
he's got 58 planes and helicopters, 20 palaces and country retreats.
Yeah.
And a $200 billion fortune after 17 years in power.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, hang on. It doesn't strike you as slightly corrupt?
Well, I said it doesn't surprise me at all. I haven't made any judgment about where he got money from.
Well, you feel free to make a judgment.
Well, I think you'll find that people who run sort of countries like Russia regard the rewards as being theirs by right.
Yes.
If you see what I mean.
Yes.
And I don't see anything unusual about that.
This doesn't bother you?
Well, how can it bother me? I don't live in Russian society, so I don't have a say in how they run their country, just like I don't have a say in the running of Iraq, and neither should people like Tony Blair and George Bush have had a say in the running of Iraq.
What about the running of this country?
Running of this country, I have a say in because I'm a citizen here, and I pay, my taxes, huge amounts of them, and therefore I have a right to make a decision on who I would like to run the country.
Have you enjoyed all the demonstrations that have been going on over the last few hours against Donald Trump's visit here?
I haven't been aware of them, to be honest. Yeah.
Apparently they've been going on up and down the country.
Really? Yeah, okay.
I didn't see any on the way in.
No, I didn't see any.
Well, you know they've been talking about it in the House of Lords. Theresa May went to the House of Lords yesterday.
Yes.
Which is quite an unusual thing for a Prime Minister to do.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, the House of Lords now have got to consider the Brexit bill, and I was very interested to take note this morning of the amount of Lords in the House of Lords who are still drawing on massive EU pensions.
Yes.
Because they served as unelected officers in the European administration.
Oh, yeah.
People like
over in Strasbourg.
Lord Kinnock of Blagley or whatever he's from.
Blagley?
Isn't it Blagley or somewhere?
I'm not sure.
Blether Blagley or...
Somewhere in South Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something.
Do you know
like
what
that.
I watched actually last night?
Blethely, is it? Is it Blethely?
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
You know what I watched last night? It was a fantastic programme on your favourite mate's TV channel, Channel 5.
Yes.
Our friend Ben Frau.
Ben Frau.
Yeah. Puts out a
great man.
He is a great man. Tremendous.
Yeah.
Great dress sense as well.
Great dress sense. Not at all nervous or irritable or anything like that.
No, nothing like that.
No.
And but they just had
That's a bit of a tooth problem.
Yeah, 1985, right?
Yeah.
And all it was a documentary about things that happened in 1985.
Really?
Which included Kinnock's speech to get rid of Derek Hatton.
Yes.
And the whole militant thing at Liverpool.
Yeah, about...
And I'd forgotten, actually.
Paying taxis to take around redundancy notices.
That's right.
It's a disgrace.
And they all started walking out.
That's
It was tremendous. I mean, for anybody who lived through it, which I didn't because I was in America, I'd sort of forgotten about some of the important stuff that went on.
And Derek Hatton, by the way, was at the back of that hall shouting, "Liar!
Yeah.
Liar!
And,
Liar!"
I mean, what a character he was. And then they had him leading, the sort of march of 100,000 people through Liverpool.
Yeah.
We're going to,
I think Derek would even himself admit that champagne socialism sat easily on his shoulders.
Oh, yeah, well, it did say underneath in the caption, he later became a property developer and
website owner and all sorts of things.
And reality TV star.
And also a radio star on a radio station.
You hired him, didn't you?
Yeah, called
Talk Sport.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, anyway, it's tremendous. We'll talk about it later on.
He's an Evertonian, isn't he? So,
well, of course. Why wouldn't
give
you?
him a job.
Yeah, is that what you did? To fill the place up with Evertonians? This is Talk Sport. We'll talk to Tim Vickery coming up next.
Take me on a roller coaster. Take me for an airplane ride. Take me for a 6-day wonder. But don't you pull my side to side. What's real and make believe? Baby James and Acapulco, we are flying down to Rio.
Talk Sport, we are the two mics, and coming up a little bit later on, there's an edition of Postman Pork. We've got loads and loads of stuff in a mailbag here, which Pork is going to be opening up. And, of course, we're also doing Heroes and Villains, and no shortage of them over the course of the last few days in the FA Cup, not least. Let's talk right now, though, to Tim Vickery, if that's not a sign that he's disappeared. Tim, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Michael Graham. Good morning, Lord Parry of Goodison.
Thank you very much.
I was told that we had a choice tonight. It was either going to be this time, our usual time, or if the Arsenal got beat, it was going to be 2:30. So obviously I said, well, I'll take it either way, but can it be 2:30, please?
Yes, I mean, that would have been great. But I was just saying, what a pity in a way. I mean, nothing against Arsenal, but it feels as though the FA Cup bubble has kind of burst now because... Sutton are out, and they weren't able to do what Millwall and Lincoln City had done. And now Arsenal get to play Lincoln City and probably put them out. And Millwall get to play Spurs, who'll probably beat them. And so there's no real magic left, is there?
Well, I think that the magic is in the build-up and the possibility of an upset, and can Lincoln do it again? Can dark, satanic Millwall pull one over us? I think while those teams are in the competition, it's still alive. The wonder of the upset is still alive. And, without obviously any club considerations, having Tottenham getting that close, you get out all your Chaz and Dave records and it kind of brings it all back. I was at the Lane for our fourth round tie against Wycombe Wanderers, who after losing 2-0 and 3-2 inside the last 10 minutes, we sent them back home to High Wycombe to think again. And you could feel the magic of the cup there, and at half-time, two former Tottenham players, Alan Gilzine and Mickey Hazard, they were on the pitch saying, wouldn't it be great to have the magic of the cup back again? So at least if we get through to the last four, there's one club there that has a special relationship with the cup.
Absolutely right. Now, let's talk about the Champions League, another cup which gets underway again tonight because Manchester City are hosting Monaco. And there's a bit of a sort of South American battle going on there, isn't there?
Well, perhaps between the strikers. Without Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero surely is going to get a game for City, and Radamel Falcao Garcia, the Colombian, is the leader of the Monaco attack. And a few months ago, you'd have said, well, Aguero had his tail up. Well, Falcao, he hadn't really come back from that injury that he suffered in the build-up to the last World Cup that kept him out of the last World Cup. But what a difference a few months makes. Suddenly, Falcao's been rattling the goals in, full of confidence. Meanwhile, Aguero, to my mind, I'm not sure that Guardiola has handled this one particularly well. With the way that he clearly favoured Gabriel Jesus, it looks to me as if he's knocked a little bit of confidence out of Aguero. It looks to me from a point of view of man management, Guardiola hasn't handled that one particularly well, and that defect now becomes evident now that he has to go with Aguero. So that'll be an interesting, because for strikers, confidence is everything. You take that bit of confidence away, suddenly, the chance that comes to them, especially if it comes to their wrong foot, they want to line it up like a golf shot. You can't do that. You've got to take it quickly. And when you do take it quickly off your wrong foot and you still get that ball on target and make the goalkeeper do some work, that's a sign of a confident striker. So that's what I'll be looking out for when City meet Monaco.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's a very interesting competition now, Tim, because there's not an outstanding team now in the Champions League. And one of the turning points might be the return of Gareth Bale. He's been out for a long time. He's been out for 88 days or something like that. He comes back and he's as excellent as he was before. But you know what I mean? There's not one particularly with Barcelona getting trashed 4-0, there's not one team which look like the champions of Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and I thought the PSG Barcelona game was one of the most fascinating things I've seen in years, because football has these cycles, especially your football, your club football there in Europe, because you've got the best players. So Barcelona, for a while, they had this formula, with the Guardiola thing, little midfielders, and they would pass the ball between the lines of the opposition, and no one could get the ball off them. And it was magical to watch. But every action brings about a reaction. So in time, the opposition thought, well, how can we counter this? So they began to close their lines up, be more compact, harder to pass through them. What do Barcelona do to respond? They signed Luis Suarez, magnificent on the shoulder of the last defender, because suddenly that's where the space was. With the opposition now more compact, there's space behind the opposing defensive line. But the risk that Barcelona then take is of front-loading their side with 3 specialist strikers, whereas before under Guardiola, they're almost a team of 11 midfielders. And what PSG did to them so well was press them right up high, and they managed to split Barcelona up into different sides. The front unit was so far away from the midfield, which was so far away from the defence, and then Paris Saint-Germain just ran rings round them, which was fascinating to see. I'll be really, really interested to see how Barcelona respond. Although I think it's going to take almost everything to go their way if they're going to pull that.
Yeah, and people have been watching them say that they've had this coming because they've had problems in the league. They've had problems getting the ball to Messi. Iniesta's a bit too old now, and he's not able to work in the same way that he used to. So if they go out, that could be.
They will go out, won't they?
Well, I can't see. I mean, you can see Barcelona coming back from that in a way that you can't see Arsenal coming back from.
You could
5-1.
2 years ago, but
I don't. You wouldn't write them off, though, would you?
Well, I would personally. Tim, I want to just change the subject because this is so interesting. The Brazilian game that couldn't go ahead because it was going to be broadcast on YouTube. Just this past 3 days, old MG and I have been opening up our new website, and we obviously appreciate the need for technology in all areas of life these days. But what's the YouTube story?
Well, this is a game in the south of Brazil, in the city of Curitiba, which hosted games in the World Cup, that stadium, Atlético Paranaense against Curitiba. It's the big local derby there in the local state championship of that state, which is Paraná. Now, these 2 clubs have refused the terms offered to them to sign a TV deal, really, which is with TV Globo, who are they're not totally monopoly players here, but they're almost monopoly players. So they've refused the TV deal. And perfectly within their rights, they said, all right, well, for our supporters who can't get to the stadium, we are going to transmit this game on YouTube and on Facebook free. Yeah. So it's not in competition. It's not on TV. No competition with TV. The TV have nothing to do with this.
Yes.
The state federation decided that it wouldn't allow this game to go ahead. Why? Right. Because you need a transmission team. There were 12 in all, part of the team transmitting these games, and they weren't duly accredited by the federation, which clearly didn't want this to happen. It's threatened by this YouTube thing.
Because they make money, presumably, out of broadcasting, selling the broadcast rights.
They do. Yes, they do. And TV Globo is a partner of them. Now, TV Global is saying they had nothing to do with what happened, but, you get a full stadium. You have some violent scenes outside the stadium. One supporter died outside the stadium.
Died?
We talked about this last week.
Of course we did.
This is another one. This is another one. Yet again.
There's another one.
The death toll keeps rising.
Yeah.
So you get them all inside the stadium, and then the state federation say to their referee, do not allow this game to kick off because there are unduly unauthorised people on the field of play. It's nonsense. The State Federation could have accredited these people in 5 minutes. There's no problem there apart from a political problem. Now, that leaves us in a situation with a stadium full of people who aren't going to get a game because the clubs, quite rightly in my view, held firm. And they said, well, if you won't allow us to broadcast the game freely on YouTube, which doesn't interfere with anyone else's contract with anything, then we won't play the game. So you've then got a potentially violent atmosphere with a capacity stadium in there. The clubs come out of this with great credit because the clubs played this one quite well. The two teams came out together and embraced and were together there in the centre circle, the two sets of players applauding both sets of fans. So this calms down the atmosphere, but it's an absolute disgrace from the point of view of the local federation that they wouldn't let this game go ahead. And I think very, very irresponsible, given the fact that a supporter had died before the game. It was an inevitable problem. They knew it was coming up, and their only resource, and this must have been a planned resource, was to try and stop the game going ahead on these entirely spurious grounds that the production team weren't duly accredited. Right. A disgrace. Brazilian football shoots itself in the foot once more.
Because, I mean, it just doesn't... They can't seem to get anything right at the moment, can they? Which is a bit of a worry. Well, is there any... I haven't really asked you this, I don't think. Is there any kind of impact yet from China on South American football? Because obviously we know that they came for Tevez down in Argentina. But, I mean, are they looking at sort of, poaching coaches and poaching young players and people like that from South America, from other South American countries?
Huge. And Brazil is where they came first.
Yeah.
So this time last year, or just over a year ago, we had a really good side that won the Brazilian Championship, Corinthians. They looked really good. And within 2 weeks in January, that team just didn't exist anymore. China had just come along and carried them all off.
Right.
Lots of Brazilian coaches, lots of Brazilian players. They have clearly, and the Chinese have clearly identified Brazilian players as two things. Number one, a potential draw. And number two, people who are perhaps more seduced than others from other nationalities by money.
Yeah.
And so they've come in for Brazilian talent in a very, very big way. And that had a real effect. And it's certainly on last year's football. And it's a real fear now because it means that we're not only losing players to Europe, we're also losing players to the Middle East, Major League Soccer, and now to China as well, including players from the Brazilian national team. So before it was biting into you lot, but really from you lot, it's only taking the surplus. It's only taking, Oscar, who wasn't really going anywhere with Chelsea, and you can do without him. But it was taking our best players from over here. So more of a worry for us, I think, than it is for you.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to the Brazilian economic boom? Because that should have kept players in South America, shouldn't it? But it's just petered out, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it petered out because it was totally dependent on the sale of raw material to China.
Yeah.
So as soon as China slowed down...
Although the iron ore price is at an all-time record high tonight.
Again.
Yes, again, yes. Sorry, go on.
Which will help in some ways. So that's one problem, and the Chinese economy slowed down. Its hunger for raw materials slowed down. The other problem, as we've already highlighted, I think, this evening, is the absolute lack of domestic organisation.
Yeah.
You've got 21st century stadiums now in Brazil after the World Cup, but you've got a 19th century calendar and an 18th century mentality.
Indeed.
And you put it all together and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, you should send old MG over there. I'll send him over. He's a bit 19th century-ish and some of the things he gets up to in life. Yeah,
I don't know where you get that from.
Yeah,
I mean, you're the only Victorian guy around here.
No, you're a trog in many ways. Yeah,
I don't know where that came from, Tim. Sorry about that.
Right,
Tell us about Neymar. He's up for trial.
Well, yeah, and his appeal hasn't been successful, so he will go to trial.
Yeah.
This is all about the move he made from Santos in Brazil to Barcelona, when 40% of him, I think, was owned by this investment company.
Oh, so that's all still going on?
Yeah, it's still going on.
I asked you that question. I didn't have time for you to answer it properly. We've got to go. Tim, thanks very much indeed. This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. We've got a slightly changed week this week, haven't we, though?
Yes.
Should we make a little announcement about that
well,
while
I think
people
we should.
are here?
I think we should.
We'll be doing, of course, Porky Vision on Wednesday night,
yes,
as per normal.
Yes.
We'll be doing Ask Porky on Tuesday night,
that's right,
as per normal. We will not, however, be doing the Porky Quiz on Thursday night, because we are in for Jim White on Friday morning.
That's right,
from 10 till 1.
That's right,
from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That is. So we're not working Thursday night. So the Porky Quiz will be on that show
It will be.
I suppose, given that it is a League Cup weekend,
yes,
we should do it on the League Cup.
It's going to be on the League Cup.
Okay.
No problem there at all. And then Saturday, the warm-up show.
Saturday, the warm-up, which is normal time, I
normal
think, 11
time,
till 1.
11 till 1.
Yeah.
But then on Sunday, from Wembley, from the environs of Wembley Stadium,
yes,
I should say.
We'll be very close to it, right?
Yeah. In a hotel across the road.
Yeah.
We'll be setting up a studio there and broadcasting from there.
Preparing everybody for the big game.
1 and 3.
Yeah.
And the kick-off's 4:30, by the way.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was 5:30.
No, it's 4:30.
You told me it was 5:30.
I didn't. I told you it was 5.
Well,
but it's not 5. It's 4:30.
It's still wrong.
No, it's not wrong. It's
not at 5 o'clock.
I checked and double-checked my facts and found out it's 4:30, OK?
Well, that may affect
my
my travelling arrangements.
OK, now...
we'll have to talk about that.
Naturally, as with all these games, including Sutton versus Arsenal, I get invitations to go into people's, executive areas and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
But I'm not sure I've got time
You've been in anybody's executive area for a while.
That's smutty, isn't it? I'm not sure I'll be able to actually find the time to actually stay for the game.
What do you mean you can't find the time?
The game's
what else you got going on?
Well, there's lots going on. I mean, there's lots going on, man.
Pop back and see Odin. Give him another tenner.
No, we won't get back and see Odin. I mean, for instance, 2 weeks on Friday, there is a spectacular...
2 weeks on Friday?
2 weeks on Friday.
What date is that?
March the 10th.
March the 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a spectacular business unveiling.
Right.
Of the Parry pork scratchings in Harry's Bar in
This
Wigan.
is in Wigan, right?
Yeah, and I'm going.
Lovely, glamorous Wigan. And
Yes.
I'm not going.
No, you're not going because you don't want to go.
No, I don't. I can't go.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
I've just got back from New York.
I don't care. You should get off a flight from New York and get on the train to Wigan
I
with
can't
me.
do that. No, but I have a family
You
to see.
bum.
I have children to look after.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very convenient to use your family and your children as the reason why I can't get there.
To use my family and my children who I love and who I like to see.
Yeah.
And the main reason for me going to America is to see my mother and my sister.
Well, you should love pork scratchings. They're part of our future.
Well, I do love them.
Oh, right.
But I refuse to go to
Good.
Wigan to celebrate the launch of them because, unfortunately, it doesn't fit in with my plans.
Yeah.
Now, David has previously tweeted in,
right,
and so I just want to raise this with you that in fact Mary Wells was not a one-hit wonder. She was a woman with a string of hit singles, mostly composed by Smokey Robinson, including The One Who Really Loves You, Two Lovers, and You Beat Me to the Punch.
Nobody's ever heard of them.
Well, in fact, You Beat Me to the Punch was nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, but nobody's ever heard of them, honestly.
No, I have.
The only song which... you ask anybody, Mary Wells, they'll say My Guy.
Yes,
that was
indeed.
it.
Yeah, but
she was
what
a
I'm saying
one-hit
is
wonder.
she was not a one-hit wonder.
She was one-hit wonder.
She was known as the Queen of Motown.
Queen of Motown. Now,
you don't get called that if you're a one-hit wonder.
Now, you remember I told you that about 2 weeks ago I came out of here and I was driving home, in the early hours, and I ran across debris in the road. I don't know why. Yeah, debris.
Well, there's a lot of debris in the road these days.
Well, it was like, plastic lids and bits of wire and all that. It was like
plastic lids?
Yeah, and that kind of
some
stuff.
kind of IED you discovered.
I've no idea, but the point is that
what is the point?
It spills out of all these trucks which are driving around all the time, garbage lorries all over the place.
Lorries.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I tell you what.
Well, it probably doesn't actually. It probably spills out from all the recycling bins that are.
Yeah,
all over
well, that's
the
what I'm
place,
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Upturned by foxes.
Same sort of thing. Because when
Fox
a garbage
families.
truck comes to my place and empties the communal bins, there's always debris left on the road.
Shocking.
Yeah, and it's because of the way that they are violently lifted up and tipped into the back and then tipped down again.
Well,
it
not
flies all
violently,
over the
but
place.
they're done automatically now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, there's quite a shift when it suddenly, they pull the lever and boof, it shoots forward and all that kind of stuff.
No, quite.
And I spend a lot of my time going out with plastic bags and my plastic gloves on, picking up what's left after the garbage truck's been by.
How
you know
many
what I mean?
sets of plastic gloves have you got?
Oh, about 100.
These are the ones you nick from the petrol station?
Yes, I do. Every time I go into the petrol station,
You steal them?
I steal about 20 pairs, yeah. and
Can
put
you
them in the
steal
boot of my
something that's
car.
technically given away for free?
No, I don't think so. But anyway, it's to keep the land clean. So whichever petrol company it is should be glad that I am doing my
sure, they're
duties
very
for the
grateful.
environment. Now, what I was going to say is, so I thought, oh no, and clattered through all this debris. Anyway,
well, why don't you avoid it?
Well, you couldn't because it was dark, and frankly, it was on the road. You couldn't see
how
it.
did you see it then?
I only saw it in the end because it went flying up as my wheels hit it, all over the place,
Well, how fast were you going?
Not fast, about less than 30 miles an hour.
Really?
So anyway, I think, oh no, I hope it hasn't damaged my car or anything. Anyway, guess what?
What?
On the eve of last weekend, as I'm driving home from here...
What, like Friday morning?
Friday morning.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, ping...
Oh, not another puncture?
Yeah.
How many is that you've had now? About 6?
6. Yeah, it was the
That's
6th
fantastic.
one. 4 with the last car and 2 with this one.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't believe this. And it showed top right wheel, reduced tyre pressure. All the others were 265.
Right.
And this was like 225.
Yeah, and what's that a measure of again?
Tyre pressure.
No, I know, but what does it actually mean, the number?
Oh, it's
not pounds per square inch, is it?
Yes, it's actually pounds per square centimetre.
Is it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. So, because it's a German car, so I suppose they do it in centimetres. So anyway, I thought,
we use the
no.
metric system as well here.
Well, we do, but we shouldn't, because...
Yeah, but we do, though.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't.
Well, when you go to buy the missing courgettes, which, by the way, are all back in the shops at highly inflated prices,
Yeah, well, that's
thanks to
down
your
to
bogus,
me. That's down to me
your
raising the
bogus
alert.
scare
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
they're sold by the kilo, I think you'll
I
find.
wrote to Portsmouth Council and asked them why, when you walk along the front there of Old Portsmouth, why do the pedestrian signs for tourists show Charles Dickens statue 2 kilometres, and then the other direction, Royal Navy Dockyard, the British Royal Navy Dockyard,
that is basically the
5 kilometres.
There's one at Waterloo Station where it says, taxis 200 metres that way.
Yeah, but we don't use metres and kilometres, so why do all these...
Well, we kind of do and we don't we?
No,
Because we use the metric system for weight.
It's European... Well, I
for height.
But it's
But we don't use it for
Europeanisation.
distance.
It's Europeanisation.
Well, maybe when Brexit
door.
happens, it can all be reversed and all you little Englanders can be happy.
I'm not Little Englander, so
Yes,
it wouldn't
you
make me happy. Anyway, so
So have you been back to see your mate at QuickFit?
I went to see him, and he was so happy to see me, he shook my hand with his 2 blue gloves on, full of oil.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to sort of reject his hand,
So did he make you all oily?
Yeah, a bit oily, yeah.
Really?
So, but anyway, he was so glad to see me. Oh, yeah, really smiling.
Yeah.
And I said, I won't believe it. And I said, he said, okay. He said, well, leave it for an hour. I said an hour.
So what, you had to leave the car there for an hour?
Yeah, so I had to go to McDonald's for my breakfast.
Yeah.
I had a double sausage and egg burger without the egg.
McMuffin?
Yeah, McMuffin, that's
Double
right.
sausage and egg McMuffin without the egg?
Yes, that's right, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Why didn't you just have a double sausage McMuffin?
You can't.
You can.
No, you can have a sausage and egg McMuffin, but you can't have a double sausage.
Yeah, you can ask them not to have the egg.
Can you? Oh, no,
Well, why
that's
did
what
you
I
take
said.
the egg off?
No, I said without the egg, you
Right.
know, and they said okay. And
Why didn't you just order it without the egg in the first place?
well, I didn't know you could. I thought you had to have the egg taken off.
No.
Anyway, and I had some of those nice potatoes. What are they called?
Well, hash browns.
Hash browns. It was great.
Well,
yeah.
it's not really anything like a potato, is it? It's
Well-
a deep-fried patty,
Well, I thought it was very nice.
which is meant to have some potato in it.
Now that left me with 20 minutes before the hour, right?
Well, it took you 40 minutes to eat that.
Well, by the time you'd walked into town and queued
Did you
up
like
and
a
all
drink
that kind
with
of
that?
stuff. No, I didn't have a drink.
No.
And so then I thought,
See the time.
how can I usefully use my time?
What, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go and find some homeless bloke and have a couple of pictures done?
No. So I bought this watch, right?
You bought another watch?
Yeah, I bought a watch, yeah, because it's got blue fingers on the face. I
Blue
love blue
fingers?
watches, yeah, you see? That's quite a nice watch, isn't it?
It's not very nice at all, no.
What do you mean?
What make
That's
is it? It's a horrible strap as
It's
well.
Seconda.
Seconda.
Well, it's a blue strap, that's why I got it.
It looks black.
Well, you see the face, though? All the figures are blue, right?
Are they? They also look black.
And then I had another
How many
10
watches
minutes.
you got now? It's 28, isn't it?
Well, I only use about 6, to be
Right.
honest. Seriously, yeah. And then I had another 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So I thought, what can I usefully do to use my time up?
Right.
So I bought a new pair of trainers
Trainers?
Yeah.
Where'd you go for those?
across the road from the watch shop.
Yeah, but what sort of shop was it?
Do you know what? It was some sort of fashion shop. It wasn't a shoe shop.
Fashion shop?
Yeah, it wasn't Foot Locker or
Yeah.
Nike or anything like that. It was some
It
sort
was
of
like
fashion
a regular
shop.
shoe shop.
No,
maybe.
it was a regular fashion shop which sold all sorts of tracksuits and things, you know.
Well, it wasn't a fashion shop then, was it?
It was fashion,
You
honestly.
mean a clothes shop?
No, a clothes shop. That's what I mean. Yeah, and I just
I
wanted.
mean, I was at a fashion shop on Friday. I was
Yeah.
at London
Yeah.
Fashion
Yeah.
Week.
Yeah.
That's fashion. You know, not
Yes.
a place that sells trainers.
And anyway, I saw these
What
trainers.
sort did you get?
Lightweight trainers.
Yeah, but what make, though?
I don't know. I'm not. What, are they Gola or something?
Dola?
No, Gola.
Gola?
Gola.
Could be.
Think so.
Could be.
Yeah, something like
They
that.
make football boots, don't they?
They make football boots as well. But anyway,
Kevin Keegan's boots, Gola, weren't they?
I think they might have been, yeah. But anyway, so that usefully used my time. I don't waste a second or a minute of my time. I do something productive and useful all the time.
You say that.
Yeah.
I think others may
Yeah.
differ.
No.
Now, I've got a couple of announcements to make coming up next on TalkSport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened, finally happened.
Now, coming up, Jeff Kinley's best-selling author and Beatles expert is going to talk to us about Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr recording together on a new project, which is going to be very, very interesting. Now, just a couple of quick announcements to make. Kirsty has tweeted in to say, can I please have a birthday shout-out to Steve, a.k.a. Bilst.
Okay.
B-I-L-S-T.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
So perhaps it comes from Bilston.
Bilston.
You know, in a black country.
Oh, really? Could be.
Yeah.
He's 42 today and busy driving his truck, she says.
Okay, well, Bilst, have a great day, man, and get through those gears.
And Leslie says, can you say happy birthday to me on the Tuesday night Tuesday show, best show on the radio?
Who's that?
Leslie.
Leslie,
He wants you to wish him a happy birthday himself.
Oh, is that Leslie a chap?
I believe so.
And what's he talking about?
What do you mean?
Sorry, did he say it's his birthday?
Yes.
Right, yeah, happy birthday, Leslie.
Doesn't say how old he is, though.
No, okay.
Now, Sam, you might remember a guy called Sam who sent in a copy of Rooney Tunes for you to sign.
Yes.
And then got it back.
Yes.
But then didn't get his shirt back.
He's got his shirt.
He now has his shirt.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
how do you know that?
Because he told me.
Oh, yeah, well, I posted it. I didn't post it. I went down to our supply people last week, direct line, and
you know he sent it in before Christmas, didn't he?
Yeah, I made things happen though. I made things happen, got it back. But I know, but we have hundreds of orders, and I'm afraid it just gone into the wrong file.
Yeah.
But I sorted it. Don't worry.
Well done. Anyway, in return,
yes,
he would like you to make a pledge to his cricket club fundraiser.
Oh yes,
which is this weekend.
Yes.
So guess what he's doing?
What?
He's riding a bike.
Where?
From Penzance to Newquay.
Riding a bike?
Yeah.
As far as I can remember, this chap is, I think, in the armed forces.
I believe so.
And stationed somewhere in, like, the home counties, I think, or something.
Well, I think he's down in the West Country, isn't he?
Oh, well, maybe that's where he lives or something like that. But he's riding a bike from where? Penzance to
Newquay.
Well, that's not far.
Well, it's quite a long way on a bike.
It's not. It's no distance at all. That.
Well, isn't Penzance on the north side of the island, of the Cornish part of the world?
Yes, it is.
And then Newquay's on the south.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it is.
I think they're both on the same side, aren't they?
Are you sure?
Penzance is not far from St Ives, because I've been there. Pirates of Penzance.
St Ives is on the south side, isn't it?
St Ives is on the north side.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Well,
just on the north side. But it's so near to
Penzance.
Land's End, it doesn't matter if it's north or south, you see.
Well, it still matters.
Well, I suppose it does a bit,
I'm told it's about 38, 40 miles.
38, 40 miles?
On a bicycle.
Yeah, it's not far, is it? On a bike, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to help him out anyway.
Yes. No, indeed I would. I wish you luck. Now, I've got to get serious for a minute, I'm afraid.
Well,
Have you made all your announcements?
I've got to get serious. There's one more serious one, and this is actually one that I did say last week, but apparently somehow got edited out of the podcast.
Right.
And this is for Anne and Leon.
Oh, yes.
Because Anne has been undergoing a series of treatments for cancer.
Okay.
And she's had 18 chemotherapy and 15 radiotherapy treatments. And they've got 2 young kids, but it's only just stopped last week.
Okay.
And they're hopeful that will be the end of it. But obviously she's been doing this for about 2 years.
Well.
And has been suffering through it. And so Leon just wanted me to say to Anne, all the best, and hopefully, they'll be carrying on together for a very long time.
That is an horrendous ordeal, Anne, and my heart goes out to you, my dear, because I know how punishing that sort of treatment for cancer can be, and terribly debilitating, the old chemo. I know that because a friend of mine, Doreen Key, went through it in America. So please, keep up your spirits and hope it goes well. Now, the other serious thing we've got to mention, in fact, we've had a couple of messages tonight from our listeners, is the sad death of Steve Hewlett.
Yes.
He was a terrific broadcaster and journalist. He did some amazing work. He interviewed Princess Diana once. He was a Panorama reporter, but he was a great media analyst as well. Without being...
He's very fair as well.
Very fair indeed. I was going to say, without being loaded on one side or the other, as media analysts can be. They can either be accused of being very right-wing or very left-wing. Steve wasn't. He was right in the middle.
Or also very much pro-newspaper and anti the kind of hacked-off brigade.
Yes,
he was always actually very good at defending newspapers for the role that they played.
Yes.
And he would have been brilliant, actually, talking about Trump and his attitude to the free press in America.
Yes, no, I totally agree.
But he was very ill, wasn't he?
He was very ill, I'm afraid. He had cancer of the esophagus. And sadly, a colleague of ours in America, Phil Finn, passed away from the very same illness last year, the start of last year.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those terrible killer diseases. And our thoughts, certainly my thoughts, and sure yours might, go out to all of Steve's family and partner in life
Yes.
and children, and he'd be a very sad loss to our profession.
And funnily enough, the last sort of documentary he made for the radio,
Yeah.
or the last interview he did,
Yeah.
was with Piers Morgan, and Piers put out a nice tweet yesterday
really?
saying
Yeah.
that he was so ill
Yeah.
that he shouldn't really have done it, but because
Right.
he'd made the commitment to do it,
Right.
he insisted on carrying on.
Yeah.
And it's very well worth a listen, actually. Went out on Radio 4.
Yes, he is,
which is good.
Yeah, a terrific guy.
Now, I've got a lot of things here coming in on Twitter about your various pronouncements
Yes.
of the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
Ian wishes to point out that if we've gone over to the metric system,
Yes.
how would it be pounds per square centimetre?
Well, its pressure is measured in pounds, no matter which system you're in.
What, you mean even in the metric system,
Yes.
in which pounds don't exist?
Well,
Surely it
yeah,
wouldn't
but
be
it's a different
pounds.
pound. It's a pound of pressure.
Yeah, it's a pound, like ounces in a pound.
No,
right?
it's not. No.
So how is it a different pound?
Because it's about expansionary air inside a tyre.
Yeah,
See?
but it's still pounds and ounces. Did you not get that?
No. You
It can't be pounds per square centimetre.
No. It's a different definition. Believe me, different definition.
Steve says, why are you so surprised that Porky's tyres keep getting punctures? Have you tried sitting on a balloon?
Hey, I tell you what else happened the other night, which was rather shocking.
Eh?
I have a straight back chair which I sit in to watch television.
Straight back?
Straight backed.
Is that like a fast back?
No, it's as opposed to a sort of a soft couch or a soft easy chair.
Right.
This is straight
Right, you
backed.
deliberately sit in an uncomfortable chair.
No, it's not uncomfortable. It's very comfortable, but it keeps my back in good shape.
Is it
to
like a
watch
dining
television.
style chair?
Yeah, that's a dining style chair, high wing chair.
Well, hang
you know
on,
what I mean?
you told me that you've got 2 L-shaped couches.
I have, yes.
And 4 tables around.
Yes,
right,
I have.
with 2
That's in the
coffee
other
tables.
place. That's in the other place. Yeah,
Which
don't worry
place
about
are you
that.
talking about?
I'm talking about Stockbroker Belt now, where I've got my high back chair.
Right,
Okay.
so you've got no coffee tables there.
Yeah, I've got one in the middle, but it's made of wood. The others are made of glass and steel.
Wood?
Glass and chrome, sorry, glass and chrome. But anyway,
So hang on. So how does the room look then? If you've got a
Yeah.
coffee table in the middle,
Yeah.
you must have 2 couches, right, around the coffee table.
I've got a couch down one side, an
Yeah.
easy chair down the
Okay,
other.
right.
Yes.
So where does the other chair go?
The wing chair goes in the middle, on the corner of the coffee table. So I can put my feet on the coffee table when I'm watching
yes,
telly.
but you say you sit in a high back chair.
Yes, that's a high back chair.
Oh, right,
That is
okay.
the high back chair. Now,
see.
what happens is, usually I sort of plonk myself down at the end of the day, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Oh, what is I? Oh, plonk myself down.
Exhausted.
And put on a few sort of old episodes of Coronation Street
Yeah.
to de-stress me,
I
you know
see,
what I mean?
right.
That's what de-stresses
When are you going to
me.
watch the House of Cards that I gave you?
That's in the other place, so I'm still working on that.
It's hard to keep up with all
It
these
is a bit, yeah.
devices and things.
But
of yours.
Phelan is such a villain now in Coronation Street.
Phelan?
Brilliant. Phelan.
Is that the ex-Hull manager? I didn't know he was in Coronation Street.
No, it's not the ex-Hull manager. Well, he looks a bit like him, to be honest. But he's just been
Like
smashed
Phelan.
over the head by somebody who wanted to kill him.
Right.
And the plot's got ridiculous because he...
He's not unlike Phelan, though.
No,
We
that's
weren't very
right,
happy
yeah.
with him either.
Yeah, but he suddenly woke up, and then, despite the fact the bloke came up from behind him and smashed his head in,
Yeah.
he says, "Oh no, who did it?" He must have eyes in the back of his head, literally. But anyway, so what happens is I plonk myself down on my high back chair.
Yes.
And guess what?
What?
Boing.
Oh, well, the springs went.
Springs went. Yeah.
This is not telling you something.
Well, I don't know.
It might be just too old.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Is it like a sort of Chesterfield type?
Yes, that's
chair?
right. Yes,
so it's
it
like
is.
a leather chair.
Yes, it is. No,
So-
it's not leather. It's made of material, but it
Material.
is Chesterfield style. You're absolutely right.
So
High
does it have a
wings and all.
cushion?
Yeah, it has a cushion. Yeah.
So you just need to replace the cushion then.
No, it's not the cushion. It's the below the cushion.
Oh, the springs underneath.
The straps,
Oh,
and
right.
they're not springs. They're straps. And one's gone.
Oh,
I heard
right.
it snap, bang, and I
dear.
sunk into the chair. So I'll need to get a...
You get a chairmeister round.
Yeah, I have to get an upholsterer around. Do we still have upholsterers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, you probably find one in the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, probably
if we
will.
still have the Yellow Pages.
Probably will, you're absolutely right.
Now, here's one from Phil. He says,
Yeah.
buying Gola trainers is a waste of your time, Porky. You might as well put them in the bin.
Really? Why?
And Gary says, old Porky went to a fashion shop for a pair of Golas.
Yeah.
We need a picture of these bad boys.
Yeah, that's
So
absolutely
we
right.
can put it
we
on
do.
the website.
Did you ever come across Magnus Linklater in Scotland?
I don't think I ever talked to him, but I think I was at the same do as him once in a while.
He was the Scottish editor of the Times.
That's right, yeah.
He's 75 today.
Is he?
Yeah,
Right.
I worked with him once
Did
when
you?
he was in the provincial press. Can't remember where it was now, but it's
Well, where did you work in a provincial press?
Well, I was working for the Birmingham Evening Mail.
Oh, I see.
And we used to have
Oh,
type
that
deals
long ago.
with things like the Yorkshire Post and
Oh,
all
I
that kind of
see.
stuff. Yeah, very long time ago, yeah.
Ian says this. Sounds like your pressures are measured in kPa. That's kilopascals.
Oh, okay.
Although 235
Yes.
kPa is about 34 psi, which
Yes.
seems a bit high.
Yes, indeed.
It's not that high, though, is it? 34 pounds per square inch.
£34.
34 is not that high for a tyre.
Well, my measurements on my dashboard, and I can't get them off now, by the way, since I went to the tyre place.
Oh, really?
They say 265 for the front, 280 at the back.
Wow.
But then when...
So that must be kilopascals.
Yeah, it must be. But when the car gets going... The ones at the back go up to 310, 320, and the ones at the front go up to 280, 290. Well, it's obviously if you heat air.
Well, maybe they're too.
If you heat air,
maybe they're too
it
high.
expands.
Yeah,
No,
high.
they're not. Because my guy, and by the way, it was very good. I went to Old Quick Fit, and they don't bill you if they don't change your tyre.
Right. So what did he say again this time? Did he say there was no puncture?
He said there's no puncture. He said what's happened is the debris, I think, has probably triggered one of your sensors.
Right.
And but I've looked at it. There's not a problem with your tyre. It's all right.
But didn't this
no
last
bill.
time? But
so I gave him a generous tip.
But how much?
Oh, I can't say.
More than 20 quid?
No.
But do you remember the last time this happened?
Yes.
And you took the car in for a service and found a giant nail inside after I X-rayed it.
That's right, yeah.
So he got it wrong the last time.
No, my chap never gets it wrong.
He got it wrong.
You can't say that. You can't
he
say
got
that.
it wrong.
You can't say that.
This is Talk Sport.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, of course, and there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Now, we're often accused of talking about the Beatles when there's no reason to talk about the Beatles, so I can say that this had nothing to do with Porky.
Thank you.
Even though he's a massive Beatles fan. The reason we're talking about the Beatles is because, for the first time in a long time, Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney are going to be reunited in a studio, and we're going to talk to Beatles expert, best-selling author, Mr. Jeff Kinley. Jeff, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Mike and Mike. Great to be back with you here again.
Thank you very much
indeed.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, I mean, at first at sort of glance, I thought, well, this is quite significant. Are they doing an album together? But it turns out they're just doing a few tracks together for Ringo's new album. Is that right?
Well, that's correct. In fact, Paul's done this before. He played on Ringo's Why Not album back in 2010. I think it was a tune called Walk With Me. It was a lovely little duet between the two of them. But, yeah, so Paul's come in the studio in Los Angeles with Ringo, and he's joining Ringo by playing bass on an unnamed track at this point. So apparently there's a lot of rock icons a part of this album. Joe Walsh is there. Peter Frampton is there. So as Ringo is so often as he does, he brings together this all-star crew of rock musicians, and, of course, none higher in the rock royalty than Paul McCartney himself.
That's absolutely true, and it's great to see the guys getting together again, Jeff, but I don't quite understand why people do this and rally around Ringo Starr, because without any disrespect to him, Ringo Starr is not even regarded as one of the great drummers of the rock scene, is he? He's just regarded as the fourth member of the Beatles.
Well, ironically, if you'll just do a little bit of internet research, you'll find out that many of today's modern drummers are in awe of Ringo. Not because he is so expert in the way that he plays the drums, but in the sense of his spirit, the way he reads songs, and the way he put out just the right beats on those songs. Dave Grohl and some of the great drummers of our day, they all list Ringo as their hero in learning how to play drums. And so it's not so much his technique as much as it is his rhythm and the way he really knew how to match a beat with a melody. Yes. And so, so in an ironic sort of way, he's not, the Jimi Hendrix of drums or anything.
No, that's
like
right.
That.
Yeah.
But for sure, he has made his mark.
But it's funny you say that, because we were talking to Steve Lillywhite, who we talked to on this show quite a bit, because he's a fan of the show and he's a Grammy Award-winning producer and stuff. And he said the other night, actually, it's not that easy to be the Ringo drummer style of any band.
No, not at all. In fact, Ringo was sort of in the background, obviously, throughout the whole Beatles career, and yet he had his moments to shine. And yet, at the same time, obviously went through some rough years with alcoholism and things like that. But Ringo came through. He's been able to make his brand. He's put together this ongoing tour of all-stars that he travels the world with. And so even though Ringo himself may not be the greatest individual talent, he certainly is a genius at bringing in other talent around him and continuing that great legacy of music.
That's right. Now, he put out a tweet, Ringo. He said to Paul, "Thanks for coming over and playing great bass, man. I love you. Peace
Bass?
and love. Yeah, bass. Yeah, great bass. Now, I read that and I laughed because I thought anybody who has to put out a tweet saying Paul McCartney is capable of playing great bass, is actually it's to talk about stating the obvious personified, isn't it?
Yeah, well, anytime you can have a tweet with Paul McCartney's name and your name in the same breath,
yes,
it's obviously a big deal. Ironically, guys, Paul McCartney came to my state of Arkansas for the very first time ever last year,
wow.
and just a fluke. I won a contest. Paul gave me 2 free tickets worth about $1,500 apiece, put me near the front row.
Yeah.
It was an amazing concert, and then Paul McCartney tweeted about me.
Right.
Just little on me, right?
Right.
And so, I'm saving that tweet. I should frame it or something.
You should you should retweet it out after you stop talking to us on the show so we can all see it.
Yes.
Because that'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what competition did you win, Jeff?
Well, apparently it was a competition on Paul McCartney's website, which I don't even remember entering.
Oh, right.
And for some reason, and I thought it was a scam. I thought it was someone trying to pull my leg, type thing. And I didn't know that it was real until I actually got to the stadium and got my tickets and saw, hey, he's really going to, spend a lot of money on me here. So I was very honored.
That's right. Sorry, Mike. Sure. Was that in Little Rock? And did President Clinton attend?
It was in Little Rock. Clinton was not there. Paul's wife was there. It was across the river from the Clinton Library, though,
yes.
So maybe the kind of the Bill Clinton aura was there. But it was an amazing concert. I mean, how many people who are 74 years old can stand before an audience and exude such energy for 3 straight hours without so much as a drink of water?
Unbelievable.
And the entire audience was just captivated. He makes everyone feel like they're his best friend.
Yeah, no,
and that,
brilliant.
I think, is part of the talent.
I've seen him live, yeah.
He's never lost that sort of enthusiasm, has he? What about Ringo's new album? Have you any idea what it's going to be like? Because there was a time, I guess you'd say, in the sort of 80s where Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards got together and made the new Barbarians, and lots of these sort of supergroups would split up and they'd do individual albums, and they never sold particularly well. I always wondered whether record companies just kind of indulged them and let them do it so that they could get the big one done later on that year or something. But I mean, who would be expecting Ringo's album to make any money, I guess is my question.
Yeah, well, certainly Ringo has his own following, and he doesn't obviously need the money. So it's not about money for him, I don't think. It's just about the fact that he still loves doing music. I mean, he's 76 years old himself. And so now Ringo, he just gets together about once a year, gets together some all-stars, comes into the studio. And, it's Ringo. You hear his voice, you immediately know who it is. And, he's had a few hits through the years, and obviously not to the stature or the status of McCartney or Lennon or even Harrison, but he's for a drummer in a band, he's pretty much pulled his own. He's got his standards that he does, and people listen to him. So I'm a big Ringo fan myself.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you may not know anything about this I'm going to tell you next, Jeff, but it's a remarkable report in a newspaper in England. It says that Paul McCartney is eyeing up a sideline as a magician, and that when he meets people at parties and this kind of stuff, he does all these tricks. He pulls rabbits out of hats and produces money from up his sleeve and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I have to say, being a Beatles devotee all my life, I find that quite remarkable.
Well, it is remarkable. Over here, we might call that fake news. I don't know if that's real or not.
No, neither do I. Neither do I.
It's true.
Well,
if it certainly is true, then Paul McCartney can certainly do it. He's certainly been a magician with everything else he's ever done with his life.
It's absolutely
extraordinary.
True. It's absolutely true.
Well, we were saying, weren't we, earlier on? I mean, it'd be really annoying if you actually did meet Paul McCartney and you did want to talk to him about some of the stuff he's done in his life, and all he wanted to do was show you a magic trick.
That's right. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it would be.
He does a card trick with you, and you're thinking, "Hey, wait, I'm talking to Paul McCartney here."
Yeah.
But that's the thing about McCartney. Yeah, I mean, and for Ringo too. I mean, Ringo's sort of the jovial Beatle. I mean, his whole peace and love thing. He's been spreading out for years. And the thing you could say about both those guys that Ringo and Paul is they're both very positive spirits, positive influences in a day where the world's really gone mad.
Yeah.
I mean, here are these guys who have kept their heads through the madness of rock and roll and everything that's gone on in the world. And they're still spreading that positive message of peace and love. And that, in and of itself, they haven't self-destructed themselves.
No.
And so, that says something about the kind of people I think they are.
It is quite remarkable. You're absolutely right. When you see so many other rock stars who, I mean, some of them don't get past 28. There's the famous 28 Club, isn't there, where, these people die, and then some who do go up and wreck themselves.
27, isn't it? The 20.
Is it 27? Is it? Yeah, 27. Okay.
Kurt Cobain would have been 50 yesterday.
He would have been 50 yesterday. You're absolutely right. And to see a guy end up so normal, as normal as you can be when you're one of the most famous people in the world, is quite remarkable. The only thing I would say is, Jeff, and I am a huge Beatles fan, I've been for years, is did Paul McCartney ever really do anything that was groundbreaking after the Beatles broke up, apart from Mull of Kintyre?
Well, I think a lot of people would beg to differ. I mean, he had hit after hit, especially over here. I mean, he still packs out stadiums. I mean, people drive not only from miles around. They come from different states. They fly in from different countries. They spend thousands of dollars just to be in the same room with a man who changed their childhood, changed their adolescence.
Yes.
And so, I think even his post-Beatles career, in fact, that some people will say they're bigger fans of Paul McCartney than they were the Beatles, that may be a little stretching it for me. But still, I mean, he's certainly held his own over the years. And once again, I mean, he continues to crank out, hit after hit, and that type of thing. And so just to be able to know, hey, I was living when Paul McCartney was making music. I mean, how many people can say that in history?
No, I totally agree.
Let me ask you another question, Jeff. How many of Ringo Starr's solo albums have you got?
I actually have some of the ones he made throughout the late 90s, and they're actually pretty good. Mark Hudson, I think, was producing those at that time, and had a very Beatlesque flair to it. Haven't really picked up many of his albums since then, but yeah, he had a period there where I think he was cranking out some good tunes.
Yeah, I thought some of the tunes he did just after the Beatles broke up, like It Don't Come Easy and all that kind of stuff.
That was good, yeah,
it was pretty good, and I thought they were born out of the split up from the Beatles. It was all very bitter, wasn't it? And very straight. It was a very difficult time for all four of the Beatles because they'd lived together through this huge phenomenon, which was the Beatles, and then had to go into the world on their own, and they all found it very strange, didn't they?
Well, absolutely. I think all of them went through somewhat of an identity crisis. I mean, Paul, by his own admission, kind of delved into some darkness, and
that's right.
Of course, John and that type of thing. But it's interesting too. I mean, even in those early years, I mean, you have George Harrison, even John Lennon playing together on albums.
Yes,
after
he did.
The Beatles. I mean, Paul obviously wasn't a part of that, but there was reconciliation and a reunion, a very tender moments with Paul and George, and even Paul and John before he died. So I mean, that's happy news too. It's good to know that people are, they go through rows with each other and they have hard times, but they can reconcile in the end. The real question that's on everyone's mind though at this moment is, will Mike and Mike be collaborating into their 70s together?
Well, if we manage to make it that far, I dare say we will be.
That will get out of our 50s, really. But
not entirely sure. Porky will get there before I do, of course. Listen, thank you very much indeed. Jeff Kinley there. What an enthusiastic guy. What a nice guy to have on the show.
Chap,
to cut through all the negativism that is going on out there. From the House of Lords to Donald Trump to Brexit. There's a little bit of light out there. I imagine you'll be buying Ringo's new album, but I'll ask you about that coming up next.
I won't, actually.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange.
Talk Sport, we are the Two Mics. Robbie says Porky's been drinking too many Bass Shandies, and he sent a picture of Shandy Bass, made with real Bass beer.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
I think he's referring to your pronunciation of bass rather than bass.
I see, bass rather than bass. Yeah.
Mark says this, Magnus Linklater was my dad's boss at the Scotsman before Brillo dismantled it. Thoroughly good bloke, Magnus.
Yeah, he was,
Andrew Neil, of course, was the guy who famously put Rebecca Hardy in charge of the Scotsman.
Yes.
Who's now and former Daily Mail feature writer.
Yeah, she still is now, isn't she?
She's back doing that
That's
now,
right, yeah.
She had
she found that stressful, that
I
job.
think she found it very stressful,
Yes, that's right,
And he then put somebody else in charge of it, that guy Tim, who's now a journalism professor Tim Luckhurst, I think it is.
No,
who
don't
was
know.
the producer of the Today programme.
Was he?
And they put him in charge of a newspaper.
My God.
Which was also slightly unusual.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And it's all gone downhill ever since then.
Yeah,
really.
I'm afraid it has, yeah. In fact, we visited the building, didn't we, when we were up there?
The old building, yeah.
The old building when we were up there
I think we were told, were we not, that the
Yes.
new Scotsman building is not even in Edinburgh anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been moved out of. It's Johnson Press that own it.
That's right.
And they've completely stripped it bare of any investment.
Because the building we went into, which says The Scotsman above it, proudly above the door, I mean, that was one of the great newspaper buildings of Britain.
That's right. But
really
that's now the Scotsman Hotel.
That's right,
But they moved and had a new building built down by the Scottish Parliament.
Yeah.
But now they're not even in that one.
Not in that one,
Because they couldn't afford the rent.
No, right.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah. It is shocking. Shocking business. And something should be done about it, in my view.
Now, a terrible piece of news here from
Yes.
Becky, our big fan in New Zealand.
Yes.
And I think she's just lost one of her cats.
Oh,
Buffy
dear
was
me,
put
that's
to
terrible.
sleep in my arms last night.
Oh, no.
She was 15, had oral cancer.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that terrible?
That is terribly sad, and I'm very, very sorry to hear that, Becky, and hope it gets better, OK? Now, do you know where Shangri-La is in this country?
Nobody knows where Shangri-La is unless you're referring to the name of a restaurant.
Sorry.
What?
Retirement
Sorry, I
villages...
thought you said sorry.
No, sorry.
Shangri-La is
Shangri-La
not
is
in
in Surrey.
What are you talking about?
Retirement villages can boost old people's life expectancy by several years. This is because communal living helps combat the negative effects of health and on health and social well-being of low economic means and isolation in later life.
Well,
right?
I tell you what, I saw something at the weekend.
Yep.
And I said to myself, I hope to God that I'm never in that situation.
Yeah.
What it was in a very small high street where I was visiting.
Right.
A sort of minibus, double parked.
Yes.
And it was from some residential home or other.
Right.
And it was full of people, older people, sitting on this bus.
Yes.
Looking terribly miserable.
Yes.
Not one of them talking to another one.
Right.
All just staring out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, well, they've been taken out for a sort of, some kind of outing.
And they're sort of brain dead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that they're brain dead.
Yeah,
It's just it's a horrible thing to have to think about.
Yeah, of course it is.
To be in some residential home with a lot of people you don't know.
I totally agree.
I can't imagine that that's at all. Is that what Shangri-La is? Then?
Well, it says here, economically deprived people who did move into such a village lived as long as the wealthiest section of society. The report by Cass Business School at City University of London, it analysed records of residents who lived at Whiteley Village near Walton-on-Thames in Surrey.
Yeah.
Now, I know this place. Always regarded as a sort of, bit of a dormitory, for sort of elderly citizens. It's near Walton-on-Thames, which is literally one of the most expensive towns in this country, right?
Yeah.
Right on the edge of the river, obviously, sorry. And it says...
I mean, that's proper stockbroker belt, sorry.
Proper stockbroker belt.
Not where you are.
It says, Whiteley's oldest resident is currently a 106-year-old woman. Remarkably, there have been 11 centenarians, all of them women, living there during the past 12 months, when the experts would have expected there to be no more than 2 in a community of that size. The retirement village has 500 residents. They live in a mixture of Grade 2 listed
Centenarians
cottages.
being people over 100, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah. The retirement village has 500 residents living in a mixture of Grade 2 listed cottages, self-contained flats and 1 nursing home. Instead of rent, residents pay a monthly amenity charge for 1-bedroom cottages. The village has a shop, a post office, a hairdressing salon, a licensed bar, allotments, and there are more than 20 clubs, including water fitness, golf, bowls and photography. It is, to all intents and purposes, an elderly sort of Shangri-La.
I can't think of anything worse, honestly.
I can't. To have such an organised society like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a bit like going on one of those holidays where basically somebody's knocking at your door every 5 minutes saying, right, time to come out and play badminton now.
That's right,
Or, time for a walk on the beach now. Or, it's time to come in and play bridge now.
I totally agree.
I would hate that.
I would hate that. But the other thing I can't stand is, I've read another report saying that the best villages in Britain are those that have only 1 pub. Because if that's the case, then it focuses everybody towards the 1 pub and everybody gets on terribly well together and all that.
Well, except they don't, because I lived in a village.
That.
I lived in a village once in Wiltshire when I first moved down there.
That's
only
right.
had 1 pub,
That's right.
And it was run by this guy who was ex-army.
Right.
And he was an ex-army cook.
Yes.
So he fancied himself as a chef.
Right,
and he actually wasn't a very good chef.
Cooking beans on toast.
Well, I mean, no, he cooked curries and they had curry nights and things like that. But the pub, for some reason, never took off.
Right.
And it was partly because he was a bit of a sort of smart aleck.
Yes.
One of these guys that didn't really get on that well with the locals.
Right.
And immediately...
I thought he was superior to them.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just that he wasn't very sort of sociable.
Right, okay,
He was not a very likeable guy.
Right, okay, yeah.
And he would sort of make off-the-cuff remarks to people when they'd take offence and they would never go back.
Right.
And it was that kind of thing where it became a sort of Mexican standoff. Because a lot of people, and I would say to some people, if I was going to meet them for a drink, I said, well, I'll see you in whatever the name of the pub was. No, we don't go there.
Right.
And they would rather get in a car and drive to the next village to go to another pub.
Yes.
So the one pub doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. And the point is, anywhere where I walk in and somebody pulls a glass from under the counter and starts pouring you a pint, I think, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to know me that well. Don't get over familiar. So it says here, this is a report, okay? It says, when it comes to fostering a sense of community, pubs are the perfect kind of social glue, but only if applied in just the right amount.
Oh, yeah.
Much as James Thurber, he's the famous American author, isn't he? And,
whose cartoons were all over Costello.
That's right, they were, in New York when we were there.
Yeah.
Much as James Thurber, the late American cartoonist and writer, said of his martinis, 1 is all right, but 2 is too many. A study of almost 300 parishes...
I've got a better one than that, but it's not for a family show.
No, exactly. A study of almost 300 parishes by professors at Newcastle Business School and Leeds University found that villages without a pub were prone to fall apart, while communities with just one had the highest sense of well-being, happiness and social cohesion. I can't think of anything worse. I cannot think of anything worse.
You must have been, I mean, for example, by comparison, the second village I lived in Wiltshire, which was slightly bigger, had about 4 pubs.
Right.
And it was much easier then to decide which one to go to.
Of course.
Because, you know, there was one that was a bit of a rough side.
Yeah.
There was another one which was a bit sort of genteel.
Yeah.
You know, so they were mixed up. And so the crowds were mixed up. But you can't have one pub for one village.
No, I agree, because
really
the other thing is, if you go in there, you're going to have to talk to people.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, because they're your neighbours and all that. Well, I don't want to talk to people. You know, if I want to take a couple of journals in and read those at the back of the pub with a packet of peanuts and a couple of pints of beer, I don't want anybody bothering me.
And also, a lot of people will use a pub for different reasons.
Yes.
I mean, if they have the football on, for example, will it be a pub that other people will then not go to because the football's on?
Yes, that's right.
You know.
The research is limited to 8 counties. Now, this is interesting, because the 8 counties listed include
Like
Wiltshire.
the 6 counties.
Wiltshire.
Wiltshire, I know it well.
Yeah, which you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Rutland. Suffolk.
Where is Rutland? Is that sort of...
Rutland is like up
is it Norfolk
near
way?
Lincolnshire. No, it's
Lincolnshire.
above Norfolk.
Okay.
Yeah. Suffolk, where I have
Suffolk,
a
I don't
home.
know too much about.
Essex, which I've never lived in. Buckinghamshire.
Yes, I know a bit about that.
Cambridgeshire.
Yeah.
Where Cambridge is.
Don't know it so well.
And Leicestershire, where Leicester is.
Yeah. You're full of absolutely,
that's right,
absolutely spot-on knowledge on this.
And Melton Mowbray. That's have some nice pubs in Melton Mowbray.
Yeah, I've never been
where
there.
They do the pies.
I've been past it.
Northamptonshire, which I'm not very keen on.
Where Northampton is.
That's right, yeah.
Don't forget that bit.
And Silverstone. Rutland, Suffolk and Wiltshire. So that's where they studied them all.
Yeah.
But no,
I'll tell you what, one thing I can say about Wiltshire, there are some
village pubs worry me.
There are some magnificent village pubs in Wiltshire.
Yeah, I bet there are, yeah.
There really are.
Well, there are in every county in this country, but I visit them once and that's enough for me. I don't want it to be, like a regular thing.
One of the things that I really missed when I lived in Scotland was the village pub, because there aren't any. There just aren't any.
Yes.
And pubs, you know, in parts of Glasgow and Edinburgh are quite nice.
Yeah.
And there are, you know, there are decent pubs there. But
what do you mean there's no village pubs in Scotland?
There are no
There's
village
plenty
pubs.
of villages in Scotland.
Yeah, but there are no village pubs.
Well, what do they have instead?
Well, they don't really have pubs. I mean, the pub.
What are you on about?
Well, the pub culture in Scotland is very different. I mean, in Glasgow, I've told you this before. A lot of the pubs you see have got blacked out windows.
Yeah, that's right.
Because for years and years and years, I think that's about 1977, you weren't allowed to look into a pub because it was considered to be a place of ill repute.
Yes.
You didn't want children seeing who was in there.
Yeah, that used to happen in this
thing.
country, of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's just, I mean, it was a very male atmosphere.
Yeah.
And people in Scotland went to pubs to get absolutely blind drunk.
That's right.
They didn't go there to sort of, you know, have any sort of social, intercourse.
But
they basically wanted to get completely bladderated, get into a fight, and hope to avoid the police station.
But that's why, as a kid, pubs were so intimidating places, because your parents went through this door into a land you'd never been into. Because you're absolutely right, they didn't black out the windows in this country, they frosted them. They had frosted glass, very small windows with frosted glass, or they had covers on them or something like that. And the only way you knew about this inner sanctum of the public house, the alehouse, the boozer, was to go through that door for the first time when I was 15. It was the biggest moment of my life, and I didn't know what was on the other side. That was the amazing thing.
I know, incredible stuff. Now, I can tell you perhaps the most obvious and ridiculous survey, many of which we already do publicise on this show, but I have discovered it, right?
Yes.
We haven't got a lot of time. We might go into it coming up in the next hour. Scientists have discovered that friendships between men last longer because men go to the pub and watch football together,
Right.
rather than actually talking to each other.
Right.
Women, on the other hand, remain friends because they do different things.
Yes.
And they talk to each other a lot
Yes.
more about the problems they're having. But apparently, this group of people studied by Oxford University, Professor Robin Dunbar.
Yeah, Dunbar.
They've worked out that going to a football match, going to the pub for a drink, and just chatting to each other about what was going on is what men do.
Right.
And women don't do any of that.
No, they don't. They don't. In fact, I've got an interesting story about that, actually, which I'm going to tell you a bit
hold on
later
to
in the
it,
show.
Because we haven't got a lot of time. Because
I agree.
Coming up in the next hour, we've got to do Postman Pork.
Yep.
We've got to do Heroes and Villains.
That's right.
We've got to fit the news in.
Yes.
And we've got to talk about what's coming up for the rest of the week as well.
Better get on with it.
And, of course, we've got the Champions League underway again tonight.
Yes.
Manchester City taking on Monaco.
Yes.
And then the night after, it's Leicester's turn to go out to Sevilla as part 2 of my treble.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport.
Hello, this is Tim Vine on Talk Sport. It's Mike Parry's postbag. I can't wait to see what's in there.
Postman Pork, Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Right, time for another sparkling edition of Postman Pork, Mr. Parry.
Yep.
We have, as ever, a huge postbag to
we
get
have
through.
a huge postbag.
So I suppose we better just get straight to
Let's
it.
get straight to it and get stuck in. First of all, this is one for which we have to say a big thank you. Dear the two Mikes, addressed to Postman Pork.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything you've done to help Leo. That's from Becky and all of the team. That was the campaign we got involved in, which turned out to be great. There was some booze sent to us. Thank you very much indeed, Becky. But the one extra item I'm looking at here, which is delightful, a fine collection of handmade chocolates from the Whiskey Exchange.
The Whiskey Exchange?
Yes, the Whiskey Exchange.
You won't be able to eat those if you're driving.
No, you won't be able to eat them if you're driving, but I'm going to take them home and enjoy them sitting on my my chair, even though it's collapsed because of my excess
So
weight.
you're going to have to not sit on it anymore then?
Well, no, I'm going to get it done with the upholsterer, aren't I? But anyway, look, that's very nice indeed, and I had to mention that first. Thank you very much indeed.
Right.
Now, let's get into a letter here. I'll just get this open. Here we go. And I'm taking these completely at random.
Yeah.
This says, personal, Postman Pork, Talksport Towers, 18 Hatfields.
Yes.
London, SC18DJ.
Well, that is indeed the address, should you wish to contribute to this particular section.
Let me get this out. Right, OK, let's see who this is from first at the end. It's from Alice. Right, Alice, thank you very much indeed. It says... Postman Pork, I had to drop you a line or two. I have to say, MG is coming across as jealous as hell of you.
Jealous?
Yes. All that nonsense about, quote, I haven't a jealous bone in my body, unquote, is just a cover-up. He is jealous of your success.
Really?
He is jealous of your standing in the community. He is jealous of your
Who
ability
is this woman,
to
Alice?
attract wealth. I don't know.
Alice in Wonderland.
He's jealous of your total independence. He's jealous of your personality. Need I go on?
Yeah, carry on.
His jealousy comes across particularly about the watches that you have.
Yes.
You know?
Somebody said, actually, when the clocks change, you're going to have quite a job, aren't you? 28 watches to move forward an hour.
Yeah, don't let MG bully you. Stand your ground. He's continually saying, quote, you will have to declare so-and-so to the taxman, quote. Even if he is a mate of yours, I would tell him to push off. Or something similar.
Does this come from your mother, this letter?
No. Excuse the language, because actually she didn't say push off. She said another word beginning with P.
Really?
Yeah, I would tell him to...
It seems odd to me that this is the first one you've selected.
Well, I didn't select it. It just came out. Just had to put pen to paper before I put my fist through the radio.
Really?
At my anger at MG.
Dear me.
Otherwise, a brilliant programme. Kind regards, Alice.
Alice has got some issues there. Let me check out where she's from.
OK, well, she doesn't say where she's from.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be after her. Right, now here's one here. Postman Pork, Mr. Power Talk Sport.
Shocking, Alice.
And
shocking.
This. I thought we were filming this tonight, by the way.
Eh?
I thought we were going to film this
No,
tonight.
but we're going to do Heroes and Villains.
Heroes and Villains,
Yeah.
OK, that's great. Right, here we go. Right, there we go. Here we are. Let's open this up. What's in here? Right, OK, guess what I've got?
What have you got?
I don't know, but something from Mercedes. Dear, yeah.
Well,
Dear Porky.
A couple of mats.
A lanyard to go with your fastback regular listener and love the show. Best wishes. I think it says... Ikram, or it might be Imram. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Ikram.
Can I have a look at the lanyard?
It's rather spidery writing. I don't know why he sent me a lanyard. There's nothing on it. Oh, here, hang on. There's a pen in the bottom of the... Here, there's a pen.
A pen?
A pen. Oh, the lanyard must be a company that produce lanyards, because he sent me a pen with lanyard written on it, right?
So it's not a lanyard?
No, it is a lanyard. Look.
It's a pen. Oh, well, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, well, here.
Let's have a look at that.
Got a Mercedes lanyard. It's very high quality. It's all silver and all that kind of stuff.
Very nice.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's keep moving.
Grubby.
Yeah, well, no, that's it.
He's worn it before, hasn't
Here's a package here. Porky Parry, Talk Sport. Get this open. Let's see. Oh, here's a book inside.
Very nice.
Let's have a look here. It's not my book either.
No.
It's 1666, Plague, War and Hellfire by Rebecca Ridial.
Rebecca Lanyard.
Yeah, and that's it. That's not terribly interesting, actually. But thank you, Elliot, for sending me the book. Who's it come from? Comes from a guy called John Murray. Okay, John, thanks very much.
I used to know a guy called John Murray.
Did you?
Yeah, Scottish guy.
Yeah, okay. Right, now then, all the other packages. Where have they gone? I've misplaced them. Here they are. Right.
It works, this pen, as well.
It works, does it? Yeah, good, okay. Right, here we go. Here's one in a red envelope.
Yes.
Mr. Mike Porky Parry, Postman Pork, 18 Hatfields. So, and it says SWALK on the back. What's that?
SLK.
SWALK.
Sealed with a loving kiss.
Sealed with a loving kiss. Ooh, this could be tasty. So let me open this here.
Well, it depends who it's from, really, doesn't it?
It's a Valentine's card.
Is it for a bloke?
Let me see. It just doesn't say.
Doesn't say?
Yeah.
What, it's your mystery admirer?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure about this. It says something about what would you do if I showed you my licorice stick? Well, yeah. So I'll show you that one.
Family show.
I'm not really sure about this. Let me see.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
It's a bit homoerotic, isn't it?
Homoerotic. Picture of a well-developed, well-honed body on the front. Right, let's have a look at this one.
I'll take a picture of that.
Yeah, okay. Right, here we go. There's one here from... It's airmail. It's come all the way from Australia.
Has it?
And it says, "G'day, Porky and Mike. Just been on the Garn train from Darwin to Adelaide." Is that one of the longest train journeys in the world?
From Darwin to Adelaide, I imagine it's quite a long way, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Loved it. Great show. It comes on here at 11 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon. When are you bringing the show to Sydney? I live in Manly. Well, Manly Bay, of course, mate. You haven't been to Sydney, have you?
No, Manly's part of Sydney,
it's just outside Sydney. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, we're still in talks about that.
Yeah. Now then, Postman Pork, letter here. Here's another card from Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
A view of Granville Island along False Creek with the Burrard Street and Granville Street bridges. I've been there.
Have you?
And it's a magnificent backdrop.
Right.
It says, to Postman Pork, Talksport, 18 Hatfields, United Kingdom. And it says, I'm an avid listener and your show airs here in the Pacific time zone at 5 p.m. 5 p.m.
Well, they're in the Pacific time zone.
That's right, yeah.
When else would it air?
I enjoy the perspective on the day's events by you two. Mike is a man with good taste, and I welcome him to the wine region of the Okangaroo Valley. In British Columbia, Canada. Come anytime.
Okay.
Porky, keep living life with the courage that you have. Wish me luck on my venture into married life and finishing dental school. Bye-bye. That's from VK.
VK?
VK Mohan.
Okay.
Thank you, VK.
Well done, VK.
Here's one here, which is specifically
I'm just sending out a picture of this rather disturbing Valentine.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, do you have to?
Yeah,
I'm not sure you should. It's a complicated message. Right.
Well, I'm not putting the inside message.
Right, this is from Roy Dracula. I think we've had a correspondence from him before.
We've had him before, yeah.
Dear
he's down in Croydon, is he?
That's it. Dear Sir Porky,
yeah.
Congratulations on speaking out against the foul beast of unnecessary nakedness and nudity last week. We have arms and legs which are designed for shirts and trousers, not for a parading around naked on the streets of Britain. For your delectation, I have enclosed some photos and article of a well-known nudist camp.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see what the abnormals get up to.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's let me see. I think I must have seen this before. I think it's A Guide to Britain's Top Nature Spots is an unlikely bestseller. So will nakedness catch on, or is it a case of the Emperor's new clothes? Our writers lay bare the truth. So it's all about nudist camps.
Yeah, let's have a look. I'll see where they all are.
Well, I don't like nudist camps at all. Right, let's keep going here. Another one here.
This is one of your favourite journals, I see.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, here's another one here.
Apparently Helen Mirren is a celebrity naturist.
Is she? Right.
And Steffi Graf.
Yeah, okay.
And Sting and Trudy Tyler.
Sting and Trudy Tyler, right. For some unknown reason,
rather.
Somebody sent me a Christmas card, but Christmas actually was a couple of months ago. But anyway, thank you. It says here, what about Graham Wagg? He is as good... I don't know who Graham Wagg is, mate.
Graham Wagg?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not a reference to me.
He's apparently a pacey left-arm bowler.
Oh, yeah.
And he should be number 6 for England. Well, that's all very interesting. I'm not even sure who this is from, actually.
It's in Cornwall, apparently, this naturist colony.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know any much about that one. Right, let's keep opening what we got here.
Carry on.
Got here, yeah, another one here. Here we go. I'll open this one here. As I say, it's nice to get all the postcards and things. Thank you. And now what we got here? Oh, let's open this. It says thank you. And actually, this is another one about Leo. It says, to the two mics and your listeners, thank you so much for helping to raise money for my treatment in the US. I'm feeling good of my operation. I hope to be on the plane soon. Lots of love, Leo the Lion. This is actually one from
him.
little Leo himself.
Yeah.
And they've printed special cards, obviously, for the promotion. I'm going to pass this now to Mike. But thank you very much indeed, Leo. It's very, very kind of you.
That's lovely.
There
was a lovely little video, actually, that he made as well, which is on our website, I think, isn't it?
It is indeed. Right, let's open another letter here to Postman Pork. Here we go. Let's get this out.
Nearly out of time.
It says here, Dear Postman Pork, what do you think about this idea? If a player is booked, he has to wear, like, a yellow swimming cap so everybody sees who has been booked. It was an idea I first heard on Hawksby and Jacobs
I like
last
that
week.
idea.
Yeah. By the way, what about Everton on Saturday? Luke Orku.
Is this guy confusing Postman Pork with Ask Porky?
No, I don't think so.
Why is he sending a load of questions?
Well, he wants to communicate with me.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's not a chap, it's a lady. Karen from Forfar, which she says is...
Forfar?
Yeah, is in Tayside in Scotland.
That's right, it is, yeah.
Yeah, I have your DVD in Edinburgh. It is fantastic. Thank you, Porky, for bringing so much light into my life. Well, Karen,
it seems to be very much
sort
of leaning towards praise this week.
Yeah, well, very much so. You know, apart from the letter about you, of course, which says that you
are.
Well,
no, I mean praise for you. I don't mean
praise for me. Definitely.
It's all about praise for you this week.
Can I have my lanyard back, please? It's a quality one.
Yes. Would you like your nudist thing back?
No, throw that away, mate.
What about the Valentine's card?
What about what?
The Valentine's
card.
No,
I don't want that either. Take that away.
You don't want that.
There's a card here from. It is Ikram. I'm sorry, the lanyard definitely, because he sent me a business card as well. Ikram Arif, and they're in Pinchin Street, London. You know Pinchin Street?
Pinchin Street, no.
Where is that? East 1.
East 1?
Yeah,
Isn't that sort of Whitechapelish?
Sort of. I think it's Whitechapelish and all that. Anyway, listen, I'm afraid... one more.
We're out of time. All right, last one, go on.
I'll just open this here. Yeah, OK, come on, very quickly, because we are running out of time. Yeah. There's a mountain of stuff here. Please keep sending them in. You know the address. It's 18 Hatfields... London SC1 8DJ, and this is a request actually for a couple of autographs and a self-addressed envelope from Kevin. Somewhere in I don't know.
You don't know? Well, how can you send it back to him?
Where's Lower Largo?
Lower Largo.
Oh, it's in Fife.
Lower Largo.
Leven, Fife.
Leven, yeah.
Leven, Fife.
Leaving.
Leaving
on a jet plane.
I'm leaving on a jet plane. Right.
Well, that was Postman Pork.
It certainly was. Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Fordy says this: never mind Porky buying a Hockley to boost his image. He should start dressing better and stop going to Wetherspoons.
What?
And here's one from Vicky who says more freebies for Moneybags Parry. Shocking. This segment is simply scandalous. P.S. The lady with the issues has to be Scottish.
Yes, she was Scottish, yeah.
How do you know that?
Yeah, well, I don't know that. Sorry, I thought we said that she was from Fife or somewhere.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, it doesn't say.
She doesn't say where she's from.
No, it
and
doesn't
Jimmy
say.
says, are the two mics more popular in Scotland than anywhere else? Everyone talks about you up here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've done a couple of shows up there last year.
That's what he
Edinburgh
says.
and Glasgow.
And Glasgow. Jeff says, great to chat with you both as always, and he sent the tweet in where Paul McCartney says, congratulations to Jeff, who wins 2 tickets to see Paul play the Verizon Arena, Little Rock tonight.
Lovely, that's great.
Surprising old Clinton didn't show up for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really. They've been in Little Rock, you know, and he's a bit of a star follower, isn't he? You know what I mean? As all politicians are.
Greeny says, and I'm not sure whether he's talking about in England or Scotland or both. He says, wasn't too long ago since the bookies had all their windows blacked out. I believe it was 1986 when legislation changed all that.
Well, I tell you what.
Was it not Tony Blair that changed all that?
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. There'll be a lot of lobbying, won't there, from the betting industry as it got more and more popular. But when... I think I've told this before. When I was at the King's School Chester Junior School, one of my classmates, his dad used to turn up in a big old Bentley and drop him off every morning. And he would never tell anybody what his dad did. And then we found out that his dad was actually Slasher Slawson. Who owned a notorious betting shop in Watergate Street.
When you say
Chester.
Notorious, what you mean it was sort of run by hoods?
Well, not really, but it had black windows, as you quite rightly say. And excuse me, and there were always, very sort of seedy characters hanging around outside there all the time.
And in those days, probably a bit of enforcement would be going on, right?
Well,
if you didn't pay the money.
Well, I'm not sure, but anyway, old Slasher Slawson turned out to be his dad, and that gave him a whole new sort of level of respect within the school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if anything went wrong, Slasher's enforcers might turn up, you know what I mean? And
so you became fast friends with this guy?
Well, I tried to, but then he failed the 11 plus and got thrown out, so he was a loser.
How about this from Tez? It says, why did Porky not buy the homeless guy 20 cigarettes?
Well, because I didn't want him to smoke himself to death, and I thought 10 will be enough for, like a Saturday evening.
Mild cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that's right, and into Sunday morning, you know what I mean?
You never bought me any cigarettes.
I have bought you cigarettes.
Have you?
I bought you 300
that's right, you bought me some
back
from Mallorca.
Yeah, I did,
200.
200, yeah. So you see,
I take that back.
Even my very kind gestures,
William
you tend to forget.
Says this, another record for the Scotch whisky industry exports, even better than last year.
Yes,
which
that's
was
right.
a record-breaking year.
Yeah, indeed.
And Ian says, Rutland was a part of Leicestershire, but is now a county in its own right. It is a lovely place. Check out Rutland Water.
Rutland Water, I know. I know of that. Yeah, I know of Rutland Water. Yeah, it's very good. Listen, I'll tell you something, which is slightly disturbing me.
Oh yeah,
I've seen lots of stuff, being reported about an upcoming fashion show, but the fashion show is the fashions of Diana, Princess of Wales.
Oh yes.
Now.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff over the weekend about that.
Yeah.
Is this all about her dresses and stuff?
Well, this is the whole thing. What does it say here? Diana, her fashion story opens at Kensington Palace Friday, February 24th. Entry to the exhibition is included in Palace admission. Excuse me. Now, I find this very spooky.
Do you?
That they're holding a fashion show for a woman who died 20 years ago, right?
Well, this is going to be her 20th anniversary of her death, right?
Exactly.
I would expect there to be quite a lot of things going on.
Yes.
Even though the princes have both said that they sort of didn't want her death commemorated every single year.
I totally agree. And
they must be okay with this, though.
Well, are they? I don't know. I pulled a pull-out out of a newspaper from the weekend, and it's got pictures of Diana in all, the famous clothes she wore, the sort of, the turquoise check overcoat, the red suits that she wore.
The famous serpentine dress,
serpentine dress, the one here which says dazzling in her sexiest dress ever. But quite frankly, I find it a bit tasteless, really.
Yeah, but if Kensington Palace are doing it, I mean, that's where Harry lives, right? So, I mean, they must have got his blessing,
But
surely.
don't you find it a bit odd and a bit horrible, that you're prowling around this Kensington Palace looking at the dresses of a woman who died 20 years ago in the most tragic circumstances?
Well, except the thing is, she was a fashion icon, right? And one of the things...
Was she a fashion
very
icon?
Very much so, yeah. Oh, totally. Anything she wore by any designer suddenly became a massive seller because she was wearing it.
Yes, but she wasn't a model in herself, was she?
No,
I mean,
no.
she wasn't a Marilyn Monroe. She wasn't an actress.
But she was a fashion icon,
She was.
I'm saying.
I suppose she was.
I mean, if she wore a piece of jewellery that was by an obscure designer, I mean, the same goes for Kate Middleton in a way.
Yes.
Not quite as big as Diana.
No.
But, any sort of, small designer who makes a dress for Diana... does massive business
found
whenever she wore
I
it.
found it very
because
odd.
she would always be on the front page of every paper. Because
Yes.
one thing that you'll know as well as I do
Yes.
from when we were in newspapers, that if you put Princess Diana on the front page,
Yeah.
it sold many more copies than if you didn't.
Well, magazines, month after month after month, just put Diana on the front page.
Yeah,
And she quite rightly
it's
so.
not doesn't work anymore. But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what it is. Is it an exhibition of sort of mannequins with Diana dresses
Yes,
on?
that's right,
Or
yeah.
is it people wearing stuff that she wore?
No. It's from what I can gather, it is just simply her clothes on plastic mannequins.
Well, that's
you
the
know.
kind of thing
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Victoria and Albert Museum has done
Yeah.
in the past.
Maybe.
I think they've had a Diana exhibition.
I just
and
find
it will
spooky.
and it will be massively popular.
I just find it spooky.
People, in fact, people will come here as tourists,
Yeah.
specifically to go and see that.
I think you're probably right.
You know?
Now, listen, what I was going to tell you about just before the break there.
Yeah.
I was in a sort of bar restaurant Sunday,
were you?
having Sunday lunch. Yeah.
Was it Wetherspoons?
No, it wasn't a Wetherspoons. No, it was a very nice place down on the south coast.
Oh, yeah.
Towards Old Portsmouth, right?
Okay.
And then, and I was reading the Sunday papers and all that kind of stuff, And then a lady came in, and she had a pint of beer and a bowl of chips.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And she sat in the
Young
corner.
lady?
No, middle-aged lady.
Middle-aged.
lady, yeah, quite obviously middle-aged.
Okay.
Not trying to appear to be anything else.
No.
She sat in the corner and she got out her newspaper, and a book, actually, not a newspaper, a book. She got
What
out
book
of-
was she reading?
I don't know, some paperback book, and she got out of a
You
bag.
see, I would have been interested in what book she was reading.
Well, no, I wasn't. I was interested really in the actual event.
Right.
And she took this book out and she started reading it, and she was, picking at her chips and drinking her pint glass of beer,
Did you
No
put anything on
problem.
the chips?
No, nothing on the chips, no. And I thought, how rarely do you see that? Then all of a sudden, I come across a piece in one of my journals,
Yeah.
and it's like a woman's magazine, like Cosmopolitan or something like that. And these ladies are asked, what things would you do if you were a man that you can't do as a woman?
Yes.
And funny enough, one of the women, who is an editor at the paper, says,
Yeah.
if I were a man, I'd head out into the thick of night alone. I'd order an ice cold beer, sit at a bar and watch the world around me completely undisturbed. Nobody would question why I was out there past my bedtime, sipping a beer with nothing to do other than listen to other people's drunken conversations. Nobody'd think I was looking for company. If I ordered a meal or moved on to a restaurant, nobody would think that remarkable. And I've always felt really sorry for women.
This has come up before, hasn't it? We've
It
talked
has.
about this in the past.
It has, but for a woman to actually write that means that my suspicions are right. That
Well, for some
it's
women,
very,
maybe.
very difficult for a woman to decide, you know what, I feel like a drink and I'm going to grab a newspaper, go into a bar, sit in the corner. Everybody would stare at that woman and think,
No.
what is she doing in here?
No, I don't think so. I think it depends, one, where it is, because once I think we did this as a kind of just almost a Twitter poll
Yeah.
of our own listeners.
Yeah.
And most women, certainly that listen to our show, were more than happy to go into a bar on their own, more than happy to go into a restaurant on their own. and
Very
quite
few,
often,
Mike. Very few.
No, that's not my experience.
If I meet my sister in a pub and I
Yeah.
say I'll sit up there, she's always waiting outside when I get there if she's got there
Well,
before
that's
me.
maybe a very generational thing.
She won't go in on her own and, and
Women in
order
their
drink
20s in this day and age, trust me, will do anything
Really?
that you would like them to do.
You think so?
Whether they're on their own or whether they're with their friends or whether they're with
Well, then
boyfriends.
perhaps it was because it was a middle-aged woman I was
It may
watching
well
the other
be.
day that I found it so odd.
That may well be.
And I didn't want her to feel, I didn't look at her much at all. I didn't want her to feel I was staring at her or make her uneasy.
Did
but
you
she
make
wasn't.
eye contact with her?
No, I didn't. No. And she was quite happy in her own world, and I thought, good for you, because I do think that, everybody needs that moment when, what it's like, you've had a hard day at work, oh, crikey, I'm going to, call in for a beer on the way home. Women can't do that, and they've never been able to do that. Maybe they do it now,
I
but
think they can do it
they
now.
certainly didn't do it in my generation.
Well, possibly not, but I think the generation thing is the clue.
And I felt very sorry for them
Did
and
you?
wish they could do more
Well,
of
maybe
that.
she
Yeah.
was thinking the same, looking over at you, so feeling sorry for you.
She could have done. Could have been.
Possible.
For all I know.
Could have
but
been the next Mrs. Parry
but
as a scenario.
I think more and more men do it now, because I remember a couple of weeks ago I was in a boozer somewhere in Surrey.
Good time, by the way.
Yeah, and do you know, I counted there were 4 chaps sitting at various tables on their own, reading their papers, playing with their phones and drinking on
Yeah.
their own. And
Yeah.
I thought, I started this phenomenon and now it's catching on,
So, what, you think you're the trailblazer for this?
Well, I think I am a trailblazer. I think I've given people confidence to do it.
Maybe so.
Yes.
I'm sure you would claim for it anyway,
Yes.
even if it wasn't down to you.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport. Heroes and Villains coming next.
Okay.
That music can only signify one thing, Porky,
Yeah.
and it means it's time for another edition of Heroes and Villains, which I
Indeed.
think has reached, is it 5-1 now?
No, 4-2.
Is it 4-2?
4-2.
Are you sure?
Certain.
I don't think it is. We may have to get a ruling on that.
No.
But it is time for Heroes and Villains.
Yes.
It is live currently on, guess what, Facebook.
Okay.
It's also live on Periscope.
Okay.
And it is live on our Twitter as well.
Excellent.
At the Two Mics.
Right.
So, if you want to watch what we're doing as well as listen,
Yeah.
then by all means, please go ahead and do so. And first of all, of course, if you haven't heard this programme before, this is where we choose 2 heroes and 2 villains from the weekend.
That's right.
And then the judgment is made by our producer, Dave Levine.
Indeed.
As to which one is better.
Right.
Now, I don't know which order you would like to do it in. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first.
You'd like to go first? OK, off you go.
I'm going first with heroes.
Yeah.
And unusually, I'm going to bind together my 2 nominations of heroes,
Oh,
okay?
yeah? OK.
So the 2 come at once, all right?
What, so you mean this is only one... This is it?
This is
your
it.
2 heroes are as one package?
That's right, okay?
All right.
And do you know who they are?
I don't know.
They are Danny and Nicky Cowley,
Uh-huh.
who are the brother managers
Yes.
of Lincoln City Football Club, okay?
Yes.
And they have a unique partnership. They are brothers who jointly run the Lincoln City. They're doing brilliantly well, doing a great job. They're going to get them into the Football League.
Well, these are the guys that were on Match of the Day.
These are the guys who are on Match of the Day
Uh-huh.
who got this fantastic victory over Burnley. You couldn't have bigger heroes from the weekend, but when you listen to the way that the Lincoln fans talk about these guys as revolutionising the club, they could do something similar.
Revolutionising the town as well.
Revolutionising the town, revolutionising the club. They could do something similar to what Graham Watford, a former Lincoln City manager, did when he went to Watford and took them up right through the divisions to the top. They are my heroes, Danny and Nicky Cowley.
Well, let's hope they don't get knocked out of the FA Cup by Arsenal in the next round.
Well, I think they probably will. But, I
Because
mean,
then
for
that'll be the
goodness
end of
sake, they've done something which no other club outside the Football League has done for 100 years, 103 years. They've got to the quarter-final of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Absolute heroes.
Bit obvious, but I mean, I suppose
I'm sorry,
I would
absolute
not,
heroes.
I would not in any way denigrate the choice. My first hero is actually Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale, who, as you quite rightly pointed out, was out of football for 88 days.
Yes.
Came on for Real Madrid at the weekend as a substitute.
Yep.
And only been on for 12 minutes.
Yes.
And scored a magnificent goal. As if he had never been away.
And it was very Gareth Bale-ish.
It's very Gareth Bale-ish, which is fortunate because he is indeed
Yeah.
the one and only Gareth
That's
Bale.
right, yeah.
So I think Gareth
Yeah.
Bale has proven, because some people out with that length of time with an injury can sometimes lose a bit of their lustre coming back into a team like Real Madrid.
Or need to ease themselves back in.
Full of superstars, who I'm sure are jealous of him and would like to see him not returning. But what a tremendous way to make a stamp your mark on La Liga.
Indeed.
And hopefully we'll see him in the Champions League, possibly in the replay.
That's
well,
right.
not the replay, the second leg.
That's right.
With Real Madrid in a couple of weeks. Shall I do my second one?
Yes,
While we're
please.
about it,
Yes,
because
please.
we've then both done
Yes,
our
that's right.
2 heroes.
Yeah.
My second hero is Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes, an England cricket player, who, as you say, plays in the
Well,
place...
just because he got himself a lot of money in India.
Not because he got a lot of money in India.
Does that make a man a hero?
No, not because he got a lot of
Making
money.
himself wealthy?
Not because he got a lot of money in India, because he is now the highest paid foreign player ever in the IPL.
But you're always having a go at me for being materialistic.
Not at all.
When I've told you that money's the most important thing in life, you always mock me.
Well-
Now you're saying this guy's a hero because he's acquired a huge amount of dosh.
Not at all. I'm not quite sure why you get so worked up about it. I was gracious enough to allow you to give us your benefit of your experience and doubt. No, the point is that you said not just the other day that England is the home of cricket. Nobody cares about cricket in any other part of the world. So this just fulfills my promise to you that I will prove to you that actually India cricket is a much bigger game. There's much more money in it, and unfortunately, whether you like it or not, measurement of success in sport and professional sport is about money. So this guy is the most successful English cricketer at the moment in the history of the planet. Right, $2 million, 1.6 million by the rising Pune Super Giants. In the auction that took place on Monday. That means he gets more than Eoin Morgan. He gets more even than Kevin Peterson was offered when he was still at the very height of his game. So I just think we should congratulate Ben Stokes, and as well, he's going to be quite, I would say, important in the new vanguard leading England with his mate Joe Root.
Very materialistic, in my view.
I'm surprised that you would use that as any kind of criticism, to be honest.
But anyway, listen, what can I say? Right, so we're going to villains, okay?
Let's do villains.
So I
Would
got
you
my
like to
first
do-
villain.
All right, your first villain,
Right,
please.
my first villain is... It's a multiple one, this.
Yeah.
It is the collection of mindless moron Millwall fans who disgraced their club, who disgraced football, and who disgraced the area in which they live when they went to attack Leicester City's visiting fans at the FA Cup. Fifth round
Yes.
shock.
Yes.
And then even
Wasn't
attacked
a shock to me.
even attacked a coach outside. They have to be the villains. In fact, they're vermin villains because vermin villains because they
a lot of alliteration
put
in there.
such a stain on the weekend of jollity that the FA Cup brought us in so many ways, except for them. They're an ulcer on the skin of football.
An ulcer on the skin of football, that's very harsh, isn't
Yes.
it? My first villain has to be, I'm terribly sorry to say, Mr. Joey Barton. Joey Barton, what a complete and utter plank, a disgrace to football, as I tweeted out on Saturday when we saw his appalling attempt at trying to get the Lincoln player sent off. The ridiculous, falling over act that he put on. In addition to which, he grabbed a couple of people around the throat. I don't know how he stayed on the pitch is beyond me. He should have been given his marching orders. Why he's even playing for Burnley is also beyond me. Sean Dyche seems a pretty decent kind of guy. And he clearly thought putting Joey Barton in the team would rough up the Lincoln City players. One, it was a bad piece of judgment. Two, it was a bad piece of judgment to bring him back after he'd gone to Rangers and failed miserably up there. Joey Barton does not belong in football anymore. I mean, notwithstanding all of the things he's admitted to doing, which are still being investigated, he's a nasty piece of work. He's not very good. It's time to ship him out.
Well, I think that's a bit harsh because he has tried to reform himself, but it was Joey Barton at his worst. It was Joey Barton at his worst.
No, he hasn't tried to reform himself at all. He's awaiting a verdict by the footballing authorities on a load of bets that he's made.
And just as you said that it was a bit obvious me nominating the Lincoln City managers.
I didn't say it was a bit obvious.
I would say that Joey Barton's a bit obvious.
Yeah, but he was a massive villain of the weekend.
A worthy choice.
You give us your second one then.
So my second villain is Paul Suen Cho Hung.
Pardon?
Paul Suen Cho Hung.
Okay. Go on.
He is the owner of Birmingham City.
Yes.
Gianfranco Zola has now got 1 victory out of 10. Birmingham are plummeting down that table. The ridiculous decision
They're still above Aston Villa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they are, but barely. The ridiculous decision to replace Gary Rowlett for no reason whatsoever, except for the fact that Gianfranco Zola is a big name and has been a popular footballer in this country, and it was designed to bring a bit of stardust to Birmingham. Has completely backfired on him. He's let down a whole club and a whole city. And hang your head in shame, Mr. Paul Suen Cho Hung.
Paul Suen Cho Hung.
Yes.
Okay, well, my final villain is actually not dissimilar to that, and not far away from Birmingham City.
Right.
It is, of course, Steve Bruce, who's currently the manager of Aston Villa.
Yeah, but Bruce is a good lad.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same attitude they had on Match of the Day about Joey Barton, where none of the players who were actually on there wanted to say anything bad about him.
But,
it's heat of the moment stuff.
Yeah, but Steve's inheited a squad. I mean,
do you know how much Aston Villa
it.
have spent since last summer?
Yeah, go on, tell me.
£80 million,
80.
right? And what, £80 million.
A lot of money.
Right, he started off quite well when he took over before Christmas. He has not won a game in the whole of this year.
Right.
2017 has not resulted in Aston Villa winning one game.
Pretty,
and you talk about,
pretty miserable in the city of Birmingham.
You talk about Birmingham plummeting down the table.
Yeah.
They are actually 3 places ahead of Aston Villa.
I know.
Who are now on 36 points, which is only 6 points clear of relegation.
Yeah, but
right?
The difference is Villa started extremely badly under their previous manager, and Steve had to revive them, whereas Birmingham were riding high under Rowlett until the foolish owner of the club, Mr. Cho Hung, decided, no, he's not a big enough name, Gary Rowlett, get rid of him and let's get in Gianfranco Zola. He's available.
Well.
And he's turned out to be a hopeless manager.
Yeah.
But we knew he was a hopeless manager when he was at Watford. We knew he was hopeless when he was at West Ham. It's madness.
Yeah, well,
madness.
Steve Bruce is not doing too well either, and I think because he's lower down than Birmingham at this particular point in time by several points and by 3 positions, as I said, it's got to be Steve Bruce for me. So it's Steve Bruce and Joey Barton against your guy. What's his name again?
Cho Hung, Paul Suen Cho Hung, and the Millwall fans.
Cho Hung and the Millwall fans versus the Lincoln City hero managers.
Yes, the 2 of them.
And in my case,
Danny and Nicky Cowley.
And in my case, Ben Stokes.
Yes.
And Gareth Bale.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'd say that's quite a tightly fought contest.
It's a tightly fought contest, but I'm confident.
Very well researched.
Confident.
We'll find out from Mr. Levine coming up next.
Right.
Who's the winner?
Excellent. It's me.
This is.
Do you see that guy? Do you see the guy at the weekend?
Who?
The fella who's, I think he's in the snooker tournament, pool player, and he went for the interview. He goes, yes, I am brilliant. I am brilliant.
Really?
Reminded me of me.
Yeah, that would have reminded me of you as well if I'd seen
I'm
it.
brilliant.
I mean, there's enough things that remind me of you every time I watch Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know, this is the best presidency you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, these are the best pants I've ever worn.
Certainly you've got hair as ridiculous as the
My hair
president's.
is at least my own.
Yeah, well, my hair's my own. His hair's his own, but it's just like coiffed.
I don't think it is.
A bit
I think he bought it from a horse.
I think so.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Today you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. But still before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own train. You better catch your own train.
We are still live on Periscope, live on Facebook Live as well, and live on Twitter. So if you're not seeing us, you're not doing it right, because there's lots of different places to do it. We have just done Heroes and Villains, of course, and the show's nearly over, by the way.
Yeah, but we need the results.
Which is extraordinary. Now, as ever, Mr. David Levine has joined us.
Good
I'm
day.
not sure if he's actually in the shot. You might be out of the shot.
No, well, perhaps you could walk over, please, so we can see this has all been done above board.
You might not be able to see him.
Right.
Here's the envelope, which has written on it, what does it say, Porky?
It says Heroes and Villains.
Okay, so that's obviously the right one.
Is that
then.
spelt right? Heroes with an OES at the end?
It should be.
I
yeah.
thought Heroes was HEROS.
No.
You sure?
Once you pluralise it, you put an E on.
You sure about
Same
that?
as tomatoes.
My mind now.
Okay,
Same as
Heroes
tomatoes.
and Villains.
You've got the Dan Quayle of Talk Sport.
Look at this. Look at this swalk written on the back. See, that's a reference to the Postman Pork letter from earlier on. Right, I'm opening.
Are you opening it?
Excuse me.
You sure you're all right, Bob?
I'm all right. I pull it out. You see, this is the little trick that Mr. Levine does. It says, winner, Mike. Ha, ha, ha.
Very
but
good.
as we're both called Mike,
Yeah.
the intrigue has to last until I flick it open.
Although, to be honest...
Parry! Woo, 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 woo! See?
You've actually won something.
Parry!
You've actually won something. I find that extraordinary, not least because of the fact that you spent quite a bit of time on Friday abusing Mr. Levine on Twitter, referring to him as a fat, lazy oaf.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I really?
Yes.
What was
Do
that for?
you not remember that?
Because I said there was no gerrymandering of the quiz.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, this has obviously changed my opinion of you altogether. That's a great decision, a great judgment.
Yeah, well, so you can tell that Dave Levine is indeed always true and honest.
Well,
because notwithstanding the fact that you abused him horribly, and upset him actually,
yes,
to the point where he could have complained to HR,
he
didn't do that, and instead he's even awarded you the prize.
Yeah, he realised the error of his ways. That's very good. Excellent.
Is that you think how it was?
I've somehow still been insulted.
Yeah,
David,
somehow.
thank you very much.
Can you mind explaining why he won over me?
Well, it was very close.
Yes.
It was very close, and Joey Barton was a great choice.
Yeah.
The Lincoln City co-managers was good, but it was the Millwall fans that swung it.
Exactly.
And it was very close. And Dave, the Leeds fan, who phoned in to implore me to give it to
Is that right?
Excellent.
But my decision had been made.
Really?
To sway me.
This has nothing to do with the fact that
Excellent.
Millwall
Well
are
done,
next
Dave, the
appearing
Leeds
at
fan.
Spurs.
Yeah.
Well, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
As you started this section, I am above reproach.
You are.
Yes,
I would never
yes,
accuse you of being fat,
yes.
lazy, or an oafish person.
Exactly.
Right? That's
exactly.
absolutely. I just want to put that on the record.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that now makes the score what exactly?
4-3.
I think it's 4. No, I think it's 4-2.
I think it's
4-2. Okay, I'll start for 4-2. I'm going to go on a run of wins now.
2.5.
Yeah, let's get rid of the halves. I don't think it confuses people. Let's call it 4-2.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Porky.
Thank you.
It's good that you win things occasionally. And
Yeah.
as we said, there will in fact be. I had sort of flirted with the idea of making the independent quizmasters the villains of the week.
Oh, yeah,
for making the quiz last week too hard.
Yes.
But then you said something which
it's
upset
clearly
me.
a conscience thing. Yeah.
Nothing to do with my conscience, because I have nothing.
And what did I do to upset you?
Well, when you started dissing my choices, I thought, well, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of having the independent quizmasters as the.
I don't think I did diss your choices. Your first choice was.
You started having a go at me over Ben Stokes. saying, now you're all for materialism, which it wasn't about at all,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Here's one from Paul, who's tweeted in. That's a bit harsh, MG. Jerry Bartley's a regular in the garage where I work, and he's one of the nicest men you could meet.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, tell that to the guy who stuck a cigar out in his eye.
A regular in the garage?
The garage where he works.
What do you mean? Like for petrol or
I
something?
presume so.
Yeah?
Or maybe he pops in for a coffee and a Danish.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
You know, he's not always been described as one of the nicest people you can meet.
No, that's absolutely true.
I'm not. And I'm not at all impressed with somebody who cheats to that degree on the football pitch.
I agree.
Sorry.
I'm putting out the letter, by the way, on Twitter from Alice, in which she details all the reasons why you were so jealous
Alice,
of me.
yeah.
She's got it absolutely right.
Alice has got a few issues, I think.
Letter from Postman Pork fan and talks about listener Alice, in which she
Alice
correctly
in Wonderland.
details why MG is so blazingly jealous of me, okay?
Right.
I'm putting this out right
Do you think she's the one that sent you the Valentine's card as
no,
well?
No, I doubt it very much indeed.
Alex says this, you look like you're deeply pondering life's mysteries on the live stream between segments, Porky.
Who, me?
Hashtag deep thinker.
Yeah, well, I'm a deep thinker, don't worry about that. Yeah. Right, that's excellent. Listen, do you know what I found in one of my journals?
Yeah, go
on. This advert, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it to you. So it's in a marketing and sales publication, right?
Uh-huh.
And it says Marketing Manager Asia.
Asia?
Asia.
Well, that's the name.
No, Marketing Manager
for Asia.
For
Asia, okay.
For Asia.
Right.
West Bromwich Albion Football Club.
And who's this?
It's West Bromwich Albion Football Club advertising for a marketing manager.
Oh, I see.
In Asia.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it goes on to say salary 50 grand plus benefits.
Which is a lot of money if you're living in Asia or parts of Asia.
Well, I don't think you're living in Asia, you see. This is the next thing. And then it says location, Birmingham based with some international travel. Well, I would have thought if you're trying to whip up business in Asia,
exactly.
you should be in Asia.
Surely you would base yourself in Bangkok.
Well, I certainly would, or Singapore or something.
50 grand, I would say 50 grand a year in Singapore is not a great amount of money.
No,
but if you live in somewhere like Kuala Lumpur or Bangkok, 50 grand goes a long way.
Yeah, well, you get on, you get all your accommodation paid and all that kind of stuff. Right, lead and manage marketing activities across the business, providing expertise to the Asian and UK entities of the business.
Yes.
Developing a marketing plan, setting budgets, ensuring campaigns, delivering on time within budget, manage day-to-day marketing activities, developing the marketing strategy for the business in Asia.
That's quite a big job, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a huge job.
Does it require any languages?
Develop partnerships with new companies, ability to communicate fluently in Mandarin and English. Mandarin.
So they want you to speak Mandarin as well?
Yeah.
They don't want much, do they?
No.
I think they better raise the price of it.
I was going to say, written and spoken. So you've got to be fluent in Chinese and English.
Yes.
So that means you're going to China,
They probably expect you to have an MBA in marketing, right?
Ability to produce written reports and presentations for the board in English and Mandarin, so you have to produce them in two languages.
Mandarin?
I don't suppose anybody in the West Brom board speaks. Are they taking over Chinese? That's right. Yeah, of course they have, yeah. Minimum of 2 years in a marketing role in the UK and or Asia.
Do you know what this looks like to me?
Yeah.
This looks like one of those adverts they used to place in the Wall Street Journal for people to work in Wall Street, which could only be filled by somebody from England.
Right.
Except they had to write it in such a way that the job was open to everyone.
Right.
Because that job is only really going to be able to be done by an English-speaking Chinese person.
Yes, I agree. That's absolutely right. Because the last line you've just highlighted, actually, essential bachelor's degree in marketing.
There you go.
So that would be from that could be from the University of like Peking or something.
Well, you could get one here, but I mean, what it sounds to me like is that you could have all of those qualifications, but it's very unlikely if you're from this country that you would also speak Mandarin.
Well, no, I totally agree. Very, very few people in this country speak Mandarin.
Whereas if you're from China, there's a very high chance that if you're well educated, you will speak good English. Yeah. You will have an MDA in marketing, or even just a BA, and you will be able to speak Mandarin. So it's a shoo-in for one of the chairman's kids.
It is,
Without wishing to in any way cast aspersions.
No, it is.
On the nepotism.
It is, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And I still don't get the, marketing manager Asia, location Birmingham based with some international travel. Yeah. I mean, you're going to live there, aren't you? If you're trying to whip up business in Asia.
Particularly if by Asia and by speaking Mandarin, they don't mean Asia, they mean China, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do.
They're talking about China.
That's where you speak Mandarin, isn't it? China, yeah.
I mean, they don't speak Mandarin in Thailand.
No.
They don't speak Mandarin in Malaysia.
Or Singapore.
No.
Absolutely.
So it's a job for somebody who knows an awful lot about China.
It is. Quite amazing, that, I think,
that is
in my
remarkable.
view.
Good spot.
But also quite remarkable, they're only offering 50 grand.
Why don't you apply for it?
I don't
pretend you speak Mandarin.
I don't speak.
No,
yeah,
don't mean you don't do that now. No, I don't mean do that now. I just mean pretend that you can speak Mandarin.
Yes, okay. I could do. I could. What's the famous dentist joke from Chinese?
Yeah, don't do it. Don't. Just don't do it.
I have two days.
No, why? No,
never
never mind.
No.
Look, David says, I'm going to Lisbon for a weekend with the boys and then off down to the Algarve for a few days just to read by myself.
Okay. I thought he said with the boys.
He's going for a weekend with the boys to Lisbon, but then he's going to the Algarve.
Oh, I see.
For a few days
to
read.
To contemplate and that sort of stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what's one of the things I used to do when I was in Scotland.
Yeah.
Because I had quite a stressful job.
Yes.
And
I had a stressful job. Yeah. You spent most of it in the garage, didn't you?
That's not true.
You know, overnight and then most of the daytime recovering.
No, not true. No, I was working almost all the time, and quite often what I would do is I'd take myself off to one of the many wonderful golf courses around Scotland, and just have a round of golf on my own.
Really?
Because I found it really cleared my head. And what I would do, because I was quite good at it in those days, I'd hit 2 balls.
Yeah.
And just play each hole with 2 different balls.
Oh, I see.
And come off feeling very refreshed and ready for the the fights that would go on later on that day. Yeah.
And another late night drinking session at the garage.
Well, probably. I didn't go there every single night.
Yeah, you didn't go there
I
to
didn't
golf
go there
courses
every
to
single
get
night.
de-stress. You went to golf courses to rehydrate because you spent so much time in nightclub boozing.
No, it's not true.
And behaving like an alley cat.
Because you've never understood golf, because you don't really play it very well, and you've never really quite got into the whole spirit of it.
Yes.
Golf is a very philosophical game.
Very philosophical,
And it's the sort of place where you can be...
You think you care about, mate, it's the 19th hole, I know that.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Once again, it's all projection from you, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is that basically, if you look at the way that you play golf and the things that golf does for you, it's not a game for people who cheat.
Yeah.
There's no point in cheating because you're only cheating yourself. It's a game for honesty. It's a game for clarity. And it's also being played in some of the most beautiful landscapes in the world.
Yeah, listen, I want you to look at...
And that's what was so good for me.
OK, that's great.
I quite miss it,
I really appreciate all that.
Good.
Now, I want you to look at a video that's gone viral of a cat that opens the door.
A cat opens the door?
A cat that opens the door.
All right.
They didn't want a cat flap, so that, he jumps up and grabs the door handle, pulls it down, whips his back leg around to open it, and then scurries out.
Cats are incredibly clever.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But, I mean, we should have watched this, shouldn't we?
Well, I suppose so.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at it when the show's
Maybe
finished.
we can put it out later.
OK.
Yeah.
Yeah, good thinking.
Steve says, Porky can speak Mandarin, gerrymandering. That's very good.
Yeah, I quite like that. Well done.
Mark says, I'm surprised Porky didn't go for Putin as his hero with his £200 billion fortune.
Yeah, I mean, that's some considerable fortune, that, by the way, isn't it? I mean, you'd think, OK, well, he's run Russia for a while. He wants to reward himself. Fine.
You'd think maybe he's got 25 million.
A billion.
Well, even 25 million is quite a lot of money.
25 million would be great. Yeah, a billion. 200 billion.
200 billion.
I mean, that is... that could cause a major problem in the world if you take 200 billion out of world currencies and salt it away for yourself.
Well, also...
If it's true. I mean, who knows if it's true?
Well, I mean, it seems to have been researched reasonably well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, right, when if he ever does decide to step aside, he's going to have more money probably than Russia.
Yes, he will have. Yeah,
because Russia's not a very wealthy country.
No, he will have
these days,
without a shadow of a doubt.
So maybe he could just buy Russia.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree.
So they don't even have to bother with elections anymore.
No. I mean, it's just a remarkable figure. When you think that Bill Gates, who is acknowledged as the richest man in the world...
Is he now? He's even richer now than the Sultan of Brunei.
Yes, he is. I constantly am amazed at that, but he is, because of the revenues which keep coming in from Microsoft. I mean, his fortune is said to be about 40 billion, which he's earned honestly through,
So it's dwarfed by Putin, then?
Absolutely dwarfed by Putin, and you just wonder how it's not, somebody in the world hasn't said, look, there's 200 billion missing from somewhere in the world economy.
Well, maybe he's funded the Trump campaign with it.
Well, who knows? I mean, I doubt it very much indeed, because I'm sure Mr. Trump would have been found out if that had happened.
Yes.
Not there's any suggestion it did.
No, indeed.
And it's just remarkable.
Puts things into much perspective. Leon says, well done, Porky, at last a result.
Yes, a result, you bet. Great
well,
result.
it must feel good to win something every now and again.
Of course it is. It's good to win all the time, you know?
Yeah, but
I'm a winner.
Yeah, but you're not a winner all the time.
Gotta be a winner, baby.
You're not all the time. Don't call me baby either. That's a bit embarrassing. Now, what have you got coming up later on today? Anything exciting?
Yes.
What are you doing?
I'm organising the launch of the Parry Pork Scratchings.
All right, okay.
It's going to be a big event.
Yeah.
We're going to mount a page on our new website.
Okay.
You can access our new website at the2mics.co.uk.
You can indeed.
And learn all about it later this week. It's
Okay.
happening 2 weeks on Friday.
Good stuff. This has been Talk Sport, 2 Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the 2 Mics, at the 2 Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for 2 Mics TV. If we've gone over to the metric system,
yes,
how would it be pounds per square centimetre?
Well, its pressure is measured in pounds, no matter which system you're in.
What, you mean even in the metric system,
yes,
in which pounds don't exist?
Well,
surely it
yeah,
wouldn't
but it's
be
a different pound. It's a pound of pressure.
Yeah, it's a pound like ounces in a pound.
No,
right?
it's not. No.
So how's it a different pound?
Because it's about expansionary air inside a tyre.
Yeah, but it's still pounds and ounces. Do you not get that?
No.
You can't be pounds per square centimetre.
No. It's a different definition. Believe me. Naturally, as with all these games, including Sutton versus Arsenal, I get invitations to go into people's, executive areas and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
But I'm not sure I've got time
to... You've been in anybody's executive area for a while.
That's smutty, isn't it?
If you love the 2 Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
Talk Sport.
About 10 years ago, when he was 10 years younger, he kept himself in pretty good shape. But now, he's just a filthy old tramp, I'm afraid. Sorry. He is, honestly.
Don't say that when I'm trying to drink